All right, thank you. Welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting of June 5th, 2024. The Wareham Conservation Commission will hold a meeting under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, the Town of Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw, Division 6, and any other applicable laws. All hearings of the Wareham Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Town of Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw, Division 6. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. All matters listed may involve a decision and possible vote. I've called a meeting to order. A roll call. I will start. Donna.
Donna Colbert.
Jessica Parr.
Paula Jean O'Neill.
Autumn Wood.
Carol Melanson.
Sandy Slavin.
Kwame Bowdy.
Michael Mercier.
Denise Schultz.
Joshua Faraday.
I think that's it. 1, 2, 3.
Missing Joe.
We still got 7 of us. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. I got 7 voters. Okay. Public hearing at 6 o'clock. Please start with the first one.
Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass., on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, at 6 p.m. On the request for determination of applicability for Louis Goldman, 85 Fairing Hill Road, to construct a deck on the rear of the house, map 91, lot 1008B, 85 Fairing Hill Road, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody present here to represent this project? Come forward.
I don't see them in attendance. Do you see anyone raising their hand, John?
Is Louis online?
Maybe table this one for now.
Yeah, I was there today, and the daughter was there, and she was on the phone to her father and asked about coming. I told her 6 p.m.,
Yeah.
but they were having a conversation. It sounded like that was going to be tight, so I'm guessing they're coming later.
Okay. Then
Okay, I'll take a motion to...
Motion to table?
To table.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a table. All in favor?
Aye.
6.
Aye.
Okay. We tabled.
Is that 700?
700 was a table. The next hearing, please. Friedman?
Okay, let's find it. Okay. This is a request for determination of applicability for Catherine and Kevin Friedman, 25 Admirals Way, Onset, Mass. 02532. To replace the existing terrace consisting of pavers on a compacted sand with a new terrace in the same location and the approximate configuration constructed with similar pavers on the new concrete slab. The area of the new terrace is increased by approximately 8 square feet to provide access to the seawall from the residence. In accordance with Section 17C 1D of the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaws, additional appropriate plantings will be placed on either side of the new extension. Map 2, Lot 35A, 25 Admiral Way, Onset, Mass.
Is there anybody here representing this project? Please come forward.
Good evening.
When you're settled, you can get in front of the microphone and introduce yourself.
Okay.
there's an easel
There's
right
an
to your
easel.
right.
Oh,
You wanna?
thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Good evening. My name is,
Okay, you want to sit, or you want to be able to,
I prefer to stand. It makes
okay, as long as they can hear you on the microphone.
Okay. Are we good?
You're gonna stand there, yeah. Just make sure to be in front of it.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Gary Tierney. I'm an architect from Guilford, Connecticut, and I'm also an extended family member of the Friedmans.
I'm going to ask you to, sorry, Gary, spell your last name for us, please.
Tierney.
Thank you. Okay,
The Friedmans purchased the house at 25 Admirals Way in 2022. Last fall, they determined that they wanted to make some improvements to the terrace, and without being aware of the local permits required and whatnot, they hired a local contractor whom they felt was going to be taking care of all the necessary permits. This was not the case. I was made aware shortly after, apparently some of the neighbors notified the Conservation Commission that this was happening. At that time, when I reached out to Josh to find out exactly what would be necessary to get this into compliance, there was other work being contemplated at the house. And Josh and I had talked at that time about rolling it all into one application. That other work has not proceeded. And so this spring, I approached Josh. We sat down, and he took me through the very extensive aerial photos that you folks have of the property, showing that at one point or another there had been plantings going all the way across just beyond the seawall. And we discussed what might be the best way forward to resolve this outstanding issue and get us back into a permitted status. He also made me aware of the exception in the bylaws that does allow the existing terrace to go all the way through to the seawall. What I brought along tonight is a site plan. This is the original terrace, which kind of stepped back. Easier to see from here. This was the original terrace, and it didn't go all the way to the seawall. The concrete slab was poured, as I said, without my being aware of it, and went all the way up to the seawall. When I met with Josh, we talked about the possibility of using the exception so that a portion of the terrace could go all the way through to the seawall, to remove a portion of the concrete slab that's already been placed and replace that with some plantings to either side of the 3-foot walkway that would allow us to get to the seawall and onto the beach. That's pretty much where we are, and I'm hoping that it meets with your approval, and I can answer any questions.
all right. What existed before the slab was poured?
This is the existing. It was
No. What existed before the slab was
That's
poured?
what I'm saying. This is the original terrace, a photo that I had taken
Okay.
just on a random visit before all this work took place.
Okay, so they pulled up the pavers and laid down cement.
Cement to have pavers placed on top of that.
Okay, sorry, I didn't get the sequence.
No, it's okay. My bad.
I will go around.
My bad.
Michael, questions?
Yeah, just quick, so the area of onset's pretty tight housing-wise. There's a lot of houses and so on and so forth. So the work's gonna be done, if you look at the water, the work can be done going forward, not to the left. Because my concern there is, there's a road very, very close to the property.
Right.
So therefore, again, the work's gonna be done going towards the beach and not expanding it to the left, is that correct?
Yeah, with the exception of the 3-foot portion that would extend the original footprint of the terrace to the seawall, the new terrace is in exactly the same configuration.
Okay,
The only
so-
thing that got added in inadvertently was this portion right in here, where the concrete slab was continued. This edge and this edge conform to what was the original paver plan on sand.
Okay, so basically we're going longer and not wider.
Right.
All right.
We're extending across like a 2-foot gap from the edge of the original pavers to the edge of the seawall. The other work that took place at the same time is that the original seawall had been very unchild-friendly in that there were a lot of sharp stones and whatnot that were embedded in the top of it. So those have been replaced with a simple cap on the seawall, so it's a little more friendly for people, both on the beach and for the kids that live in the Friedman's house.
Right, thank you.
Kwame?
Yeah, so you said you were going to place stairs too? Is that something that is going to be in play? Stairs?
No, I don't.
No stairs?
No. The original wood steps come down. This is a view looking from the seawall back. So the stairs are here, the stairs are here. This was the original pavers, and it's been replaced by concrete in essentially the same configuration.
Okay, thank you.
Carol?
The seawall's only a little bit above sand. It's not a deep sea, it's not a high seawall. It's
No,
just very short,
it's
so you just...
basically seat height. It's probably
Okay.
2 feet, anywhere from 18 inches to 2 feet above the sand.
Okay.
Autumn?
Is this outside of our 30-foot no activity zone?
No, it's within the 30
It's within
foot,
the
and that's
30.
what,
Okay,
leads to the problem.
okay. How much of this project is within the 30-foot? Do you know?
The entire thing.
The entire thing?
Yeah. This is the 10-foot setback, so the 30-foot zone probably goes all the way up to the existing screen porch.
Okay, and that was already altered land?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Apparently, if the contractor that had been engaged, first of all, had taken out the proper permits, and that's something I have to deal with him. My understanding from Josh was that if we simply replaced the terrace in the exact same configuration as it was before, and then we talked about the concern of being able to get to the beach without having to walk all the way around and get onto the street.
Yep, thank you.
Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Jessica?
So your ask is really just to remove those two kind of hips?
I'm trying to get the work that was done back into compliance.
Gotcha.
So I'm
So
going
it's-
to request that the contractor cut out this portion, and leave a 3-foot wide walkway that connects the original profile of the terrace to the seawall.
Which we have the ability to approve based on that
One of the
exception.
exceptions in the bylaw.
Okay. All right, no questions.
Donna?
I didn't see any notice of what type of plantings you're proposing to put in these little places where you're taking the cement back out?
We haven't determined that yet. It's a situation where it's mostly grasses over in here, and I think the way I showed it was some more appropriate plantings, and it's probably something that I would be looking to consult with Josh on in terms of what would be most appropriate for the area or whatnot. At various times, there have been high plantings that have gone all the way across. Right now, there are just some grasses that come up, and then there's a very narrow walkway that runs across from here and then turns back to the house. And it's a matter of consensus, what's most appropriate and
Yeah, so seeing that,
most viable.
yeah, with approval from Josh, that, maybe that would be looked at before the plantings were
Yeah,
done.
and I think in the application, I indicated that we'd be seeking his participation. Like he has nothing on his plate to begin with.
Denise?
So you're going to be cutting out the section that extended the patio further into the no activity area?
Right. We're gonna-
Moving that, going back to the original patio that was there?
Right, with the exception of a 3-foot portion, which would extend the profile of the original patio up to the seawall, so
So
that
you're
they're able
not-
to get onto the beach from the house.
So you're adding to,
The 8 square feet, right,
in the no activity zone?
that's right.
I have a problem with that only because it's the no activity zone. The Conservation Commission needs to be consistent with how they apply things to the no activity zone. And you can't stretch the rules for one person and not stretch them for everybody.
Well, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
And this, when I met with Josh originally, the possibility of taking advantage of the exception in the bylaws.
And what is the exception in the bylaw?
We're allowed a 3-foot walkway
3-foot walkway.
to the resource area.
The resource area. Through an
Is that right, Josh? A 3
I
foot?
can read it.
Yes, please, read it for Denise.
So, if in its judgment, such a reduction is necessary to accommodate reasonable access by path or least intrusive means of access to other portions of the property or shoreline, as long as there is no alternative means of accessing the other portion of the property, and that such alteration does not exceed a 5-foot wide naturally surfaced path or an elevated boardwalk not to exceed 3 foot wide in width within the 5-foot path. Such alterations may require wetland replication.
So you're taking the 3 foot, and instead of running a 3 foot to the water, you're turning it sideways, and you're saying it's okay to run a 3 foot this way?
No.
No,
No.
we're running it 3 feet straight off the original,
3
the end
feet
of the
straight off.
original
Okay.
patio to the seawall.
The other thing that I had on this was when I was over there, the neighbor walked over, and he said that he had not been notified, that you were, did you send out notifications?
We did. Everything went out certified. I was frankly surprised at the number of abutters. I was away on vacation when the application had to be made, but I do know that it was all sent out by certified mail.
Okay, and there were, when I was there were a lot of pavers sitting piled up on the side.
That's the point at which we came to a halt last fall.
And what's going on with those pavers?
Those are the pavers that are going to be placed on top of the concrete slab.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
Okay. The pavers that were there, any idea when they were first installed?
No, I don't.
The original pavers that were removed before the concrete slab went down?
I'd have to say, I don't know, I mean, the aerial photos that we've seen showed, from year to year that the plantings that ran along the seawall varied, but I'd have to suspect that the pavers had been down there for a long time.
Okay. Josh, your comments, please?
If the commission was to approve, I would say the planting should be determined with the land use coordinator, and erosion control should be established at the edge of the property.
That would be during construction, Josh?
Yeah.
Which you just said is a preventive, okay.
Right.
It's just too bad it's a so impervious structure on the bottom, but I guess that's no choice. I would prefer a little bit more, let the water drain through.
Without denigrating my, basically what's a daughter-in-law, I was not consulted for that, and the decision was made last fall. Casey and Kevin were trying to make improvements to the property, and as I said, they engaged somebody as an architect if I had had a hand in it, but now we're faced with a concrete slab that's been paid for and whatnot. And
Well, a concrete slab that was installed without approval.
no, I understand.
Now, here's a question for you. What would it take, if we were to have that concrete slab removed, what method would you use to place the pavers in its place? Is that a good question?
It is, and I would have to say that I probably would have done the same thing, because, that's the only way to stabilize the pavers.
Okay, if not, they'll be walkie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm facing the same thing at my own home in Guilford, where I've got bluestone down on compacted sand and frost heaves and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
It moves all over the place. So, the typical best practice would be to put down a concrete slab and then mortar the pavers on top of that.
Now, since this concrete slab was placed without approval, it's going in a position that was, pavers already existed, that was installed at unknown time, I would think a fine would be in place for doing work without approval. So they would be fined for doing the work without approval and double the filing fee.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
What type of slabs were there before? Was there something that was more pervious
No,
before?
It was just
do you have a
loose.
picture of the prior slab?
Yeah, it was just loose on the sand.
It looks like it's the same slabs you see piled up on the corner.
Right, and it was just on the sand before.
And the older pavers, as I said, they moved and they were worn. So
Okay.
So to put new ones in, it's like you, I have an issue with the concrete slab.
But if it's for a safety reason,
Well, there's other things you can put down that are more pervious than
well,
that.
keep in mind that it's going to run off. The water is going to flow into all directions around it, so will eventually flow off the pavers into the sand around it, so it's not as if it's going
To the
into,
commission, but I really have an issue with the slab
Yeah.
and 30-foot no activity zone.
but any idea what was under those existing old pavers? Just sand?
just sand,
Sand.
as far as I know, yeah. And with regards to the fine, we're aware of that. I actually have several checks this evening, one of which is the fine for proceeding without a permit. And when the question came up about having to reconfigure the concrete to cut out some of the concrete, I said, should this happen ahead of time? And Josh indicated, please don't, because then you'll have a double fine for doing more work without a permit.
All right. Is there anybody online or in the audience who'd like to speak about this, regarding this project at 25 Admirals Way? I'm seeing no one in the audience.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to
Second.
close the hearing. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstains. The hearing is closed. Your recommendation, Josh?
-3 and a -6 with a condition of the planting should be determined with, with the discretion of the land use coordinator. Erosion control should be established along the property line, and $300 fine for doing work that would not have been approved, and then a $75 double application fee.
So moved.
Second.
I have that. That is the motion. I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstain. You got it.
Thanks for your
See
time.
Josh before you do anything more.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anybody here for 85 Faring Hill Road? Did they come in? Yes, please come forward. I'll take them, I will take a motion to untable.
So moved.
Second.
Find it now.
We've, okay, so this is for,
I get it.
it's already been read.
Oh, all right.
So we've untabled the hearing, and, oh yeah, I was supposed to say, I need a motion to open, I forgot to do that. I need a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open a hearing for 85
Second.
Fairfield Hill Road.
Now I need a motion to untable the hearing.
Motion to untable the hearing?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please come forward and identify yourself.
Yeah, my dad I speak Spanish.
I need someone that can speak, that can present the project.
He's not
You
here.
have a seat
Just,
and identify yourself, please. We need to know your name.
it's not my property though.
That's okay.
That's all right.
You're interpreting for us.
Yeah, I'm just interpreting for my mother.
That's all right. You want to put a deck on the back of the house?
Yeah, that's it. That's
Oh.
all.
Okay. Anybody, I'm going to ask for questions. Jessica?
Huh?
We're going to ask some, if there's any questions, okay?
Come back to me.
Paula Jean?
I was there today and looked at the property, and it looks like the deck on the rear of the house, 12 feet by 20 feet would be fine. You're replacing the deck that's there,
Yeah.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Carol?
No questions.
Kwame?
Actually, when I was there, it wasn't really staked yet, so I didn't know what was going on, but I don't think the deck is going to be any bigger. It's just taking place of what is there, so I'm cool with that. Thanks.
Okay. Michael?
Same as Kwame. I didn't see any stakes, but other than that, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Denise?
Just for the record, it is going to be a little bit larger, but it's going to be in the same footprint, just a little bit bigger, just so that everybody realizes that. Okay.
Right, it's going to be a little bit bigger deck.
A bit bigger
Yeah.
deck.
Okay. Donna?
No questions.
Josh, comments?
Yeah, it's tough to see, but there is the existing deck on the plan. They are expanding it to, I'll say, the west a little, and then they're expanding it to the north just to kind of square off with the addition of the house. In total, it's probably about 85 feet from the wetland, so it's pretty far outside of the buffer. And the recommendation would be a -3 and a -6.
Is there anybody online or in the audience who would like to comment on this project at 85 Faring Hill Road? I'm seeing none.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed. And the recommendation, anybody want to take a hint at it?
I motion to approve with a -3 and a -6.
Second?
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstains. You're done? You're good?
Sandy, can we have the mother's name, so that we, for the record, is that
Well,
she's
she
here?
didn't speak, but,
Well, she's,
okay.
just her name.
My name, Maria.
Maria, and your name?
Jessica.
Jessica. Thank you, Jessica.
And Maria's last name?
Cella. CELA.
Okay. So we're done. See Mr. Josh in the office before you get your work done. Okay? Thank you. The next one is Mather.
Okay, that's the first in the line. This is a notice of intent for George and David Mather, 31 Depot Street, Southeastern Mass, to construct a single-family dwelling, map 38, lot 512 and 513, 12 Larch Street, Wareham, Mass.
And who's here representing the project?
Madam Chair, Bob Rogers with GAF Engineering on behalf of the applicant.
This site has been before us before, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. I was hoping that would make my job much easier tonight.
Oh, we're gonna make it harder.
So the owners are online on the phone, I believe. They're out of state right now, but this is one of the last remaining lots in Parkwood Beach that never had a home on it. I believe the commission approved, the commission issued an order of conditions in late 2022 or early 2023, and then the project was not approved by the ZBA, and so there's new owners. This plan is almost exactly the same as the prior JC engineering plan, and we cannot go back before the ZBA until February of 2025. But we can request, and we hope to receive an order of conditions, which, as you know, would be good for 3 years. And then there will never be a lot, there will never be a house on this lot unless and until the relief is granted by the ZBA. But we're starting here first, and hope to, again, receive an order of conditions for a single-family house. There's a sewer hookup, there's water. It has to be flood zone compliant, new building, International Building Code compliant. I wrote a narrative in the notice of intent which addressed buffer zone to salt marsh, the riverfront area, land subject to coastal storm flowage. We are obligated to disturb no more than 5,000 square feet. It's the outer riverfront area. We're proposing a maximum of 2 feet of fill under the structure, and we have 4 roof infiltration units. This is a low point in this portion of the neighborhood. It's a corner lot with the 2 dirt roads. There is a home between this lot and the Crooked River, and there are homes on the other side of Larch Street.
Can I ask why ZBA denied? Just,
So I
Trying to
reviewed the
understand.
minutes, and really, that's the only way that I knew that this had been previously approved. I reviewed the minutes of the last meeting where there was a motion to approve, and it was seconded, and then the vote went 2-3.
oh,
And so,
okay, thanks. I just,
Yeah.
curiosity as to why they didn't allow this. And for the record, sewer says yes, because you already have a stub there, therefore you're entitled to hook up, in case anybody is interested. All right, we'll do the questions. Jessica.
No questions.
Paula Jean.
Well, I really like that nice oak, which is within where you have it staked. I hate to see that one go. A couple of maples there inside the lot as well. It looks like, I mean, it's such a small area, it's gonna be right up against the neighbors and the chain link fence. My understanding, and it's here, based on hearsay, so, is that that area super floods out. It's like a pond when there's heavy rain in the spring and when the snow melts. Less than ideal for building. There was also an abutter who came by when I was there looking at her today, who said they'd never been notified. I have no idea about that.
you're right, I failed to mention there are 4 stakes that,
Yeah.
at the 4 corners of the house. We uploaded the green cards from the abutter notification to the online system. And I have green cards here and the white slips, so we did receive a 100-foot certified abutters list from the assessors, and we mailed to those people. So,
Just passing that along.
excuse me?
I'm just passing that along, whether it's, true or neighborhood hearsay or perception, I don't know.
Yeah, so in terms of the stormwater, so we've got the roof infiltration proposed at the 4 corners, and, we have quite a bit. So this is high, and it comes into the lot, and then the water would want to escape this corner, which would go onto Parkwood Beach property and then to the salt marsh.
Uh,
So we don't feel that this presents any, it doesn't have a
It's gonna
potential to.
change that.
Correct. We don't feel that it will put any runoff onto any of the adjacent homes. It would, basically, the water would go this way, to 5, to 4, and out. I don't know what the grades on this lot are, but everyone else is higher than this lot, so.
Okay. I know that one neighbor, there's it's surrounded by, the footprint of the house is surrounded by, it's covered with junk and trash, first of all. Somebody's gonna have to clean that mess up. But and is the shed staying? Is the shed staying or going?
We've called for the shed to be removed.
Removed, yeah.
It's, it was there prior to the purchase of the property by the new owners, but there's no, we really don't know whose it is.
Okay, thank you.
Autumn.
No questions, thank you.
Carol.
No questions, thank you.
Kwame.
So it's like a little tight squeeze, and
Meets the setbacks, so the only reason for the ZBA is the
Definitely gonna-
area
yeah.
of the lot.
So you said it was in a flood zone, right?
Correct, yes, it's in a velocity zone. It's also one of the reasons why we're before the Conservation Commission as quickly as we could get our information together.
Yeah, that's all I
Potential
have.
changes to the regulations.
That's all I have. Thank you, though.
But
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Michael.
As already been mentioned 3 times over, we know it's a tight squeeze on a dirt road. My question and concern here is that, any concern with getting construction equipment down there where it might be stored or anything of that nature?
Yeah, well, the street access isn't the greatest, but it's not bad. Once the shed's gone, there's quite a bit of area to, store it. And, once the foundation is constructed, you'd have all that area underneath the foundation to store lumber and those types of things. So, we typically advise people only bring in the amount of materials that you can use in a timely manner. But, there's area on the lot for, and really so I don't know at this time if it would be wood piles or concrete piles. But certainly, if they did a wood pile foundation, then, that's all you're going to do, and there's not anything else going to be on the lot until you get the deck up to the, proper elevation.
Thank you.
Donna?
I don't have any questions.
Denise?
What is the elevation? How high is it going?
So the velocity zone is, so it's velocity zone VE 17. So the horizontal members would be at 19.
Okay.
And the first floor just slightly above that, or as close to that.
And,
Ground's at 6. We'll build it up to 6. It's at
and what
5.
is going underneath?
I didn't hear the question.
What is going underneath?
Are you putting a slab or
Slab or
So,
stones or?
you're going to build the land up by 2 feet, right? Bring enough
Correct,
soil to
correct.
bring it up 2 feet. Now, what is the,
No more than 2 feet. So we're showing a slab. We're allowed to request a unreinforced slab, but we're happy to receive an order of conditions that says it would be pervious underneath. It can be, the driveway is proposed for crushed stone. Slab can become pad, and, we could accept a condition of pervious surface under the house.
well, Denise, I'm sorry, I will follow up when you're done.
Yeah, and then I'm assuming that the shed you're talking about is the chicken coop?
Oh, does it have chickens in it? I don't.
There was wiring, it looked like a chicken,
Okay.
but that's the shed.
Well, there's a
correct?
shed here that I just, I drove by.
Okay. But that's going.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
If they want a new one somewhere, they would have to amend.
Yeah, okay.
So what type of puddle forms at this lot?
I have no idea.
Will
But
2 feet keep the foundation out, will keep the slab out of the water?
Yes. Yeah, unless and until you get that hurricane and the 100-year flood.
Then
So a rainfall event is not going to hurt us. Only a
Okay.
coastal storm event, would affect us, not hurt us, but.
But it's under the house, it's not if it's going to get rained on. A concrete,
So, it's just, so concrete obviously is nice. If you're going to park your cars underneath, you're going to store your dinghy or whatever you're going to do, and that's all well and good, but it doesn't have to be that way. But if it is concrete, it's not allowed to be reinforced concrete, because if of course, at this location, it's going to be other people's homes flying onto this lot, and not really the other way around. But
but I'm concerned by putting it at 2 feet of fill. I was wondering how stable a concrete slab will be based on fill.
so.
Is that a good, do I have a reason to be concerned?
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
it'd be like any other slab at grade that doesn't have a footing. I mean, it's, the intent of that regulation to not reinforce is so that, if it's this isn't on the beach, but so if the waves come in and instead of a reinforced slab damaging other parts of the foundation and the columns, it will break apart, and it will break apart into small pieces, and it will be much less of a problem than if it was reinforced. But again, I think the owners would be happy if it was just, crushed stone.
How much fill are you going to have to put in this property to bring it up to 2 feet?
I didn't do that calculation.
But you'll be filling in everything, not just under the house,
No, just under the house.
just under the house. And how will you keep that soil from washing away?
So, underneath the house?
Yeah.
So again, we would like it if we could get approved for an unreinforced concrete slab, but, if it was fill, then, I guess it just depends on the severity of the storm.
Well, I'm thinking, are they going to need stairs to walk up the 2 feet to get underneath
Oh,
the
no,
house?
no, no.
I'm trying to picture what a 2-foot fill is going to do on that site. Josh, am I missing something?
It dips.
So, I mean, this is actually, there's a
Brings it up.
6 contour, a 5 contour, and we're coming up to 6. And then we've got a 5 contour, and a 4. You know,
Okay, so you'll be raising the center of the property up to
yeah, just.
be more in line with the land around it.
It's,
Yeah,
well, it's
That's the
a
way I
9, an
understand
8,
it, too.
a 7, a 6, right? But so we got 7 that's just directly under the home, and then a 6 and a 5, which that's going to be.
Okay. Josh, your comments, please.
I hope you thank JC Engineering for their hard work, because I can't find any differences in the plan that we approved and this plan you brought before us.
I thought that was the path of least resistance without being accused of plagiarism.
I say that anecdotally because there really is no change from what you guys approved originally. And in the original order of conditions that you issued, you had no special conditions.
And I'm very pleased to see your 4 drains on each corner of the house. Thank you. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wants to talk about 12 Larch Street? Yes, please come forward and identify yourself at the microphone.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lovall, 5 Hemlock Street.
And your comments, please.
Yes, my concern is with all that water that's there all the time. I see it every time there's a major rainstorm or whatever. So my concern is they're going to raise that 2 feet. It's like, where's the water going to go now? If you look at Larch, if you were there visiting, you probably saw a huge mud puddle that's right on the other side of Hemlock. So right now what's happening is the river washes in over where that blue house is, that blue shed is. The water washes through there, and at that big storm, everything from that other house floated all the way across. It went all the way across Larch, across Hemlock, and went into that other there on the other
So
side.
you're telling me the river?
Yeah, the river, the high tide, and it floods in at high tide,
Okay.
lunar high tides. It comes in some, and at the storms, it floated big pieces of wood and pallets and whatever else it brought it across. So I just want to know, I can't get maintenance right now to even fix that huge divot hole in Larch.
It's probably not a public way.
It is.
It is a public way.
Larch is public, Hemlock
Okay.
is private, so I had to fix
Hemlock.
Hemlock myself, put some crushed
So
stone.
municipal maintenance it has to come in and help fix
Well,
Larch.
they're supposed
Well,
to, but I've been trying for 8 years now. And even Parkwood's been trying, the whole board's been trying to get them to fix that. So my concern is you're going to raise that area 2 feet, so where's all that water going to go? Because it's still going to, it won't be under their house anymore, because right now it's where they want to put the house, then towards Larch. The upper side of the house is actually always would be out of the water, but, so I
No.
just, I'm having to maintain Hemlock right now, and so now we're going
So,
to have even more.
Bob, the water that would accumulate in this property, you say would flow down to the next door neighbor and then off to Crooked River, right?
Well, so there's
tends to
there's
be
rain, so there's rainwater, and then there's, tidal surge. Well, I think what
Mm-hmm.
she's talking about is when we get a moon tide, a storm surge.
Or a king, yeah.
I mean, so high water's at 2, and you get a 3-foot storm surge, and suddenly you're up at 5, and this lot, so the corner of it is at 4, right? Larch Street is at 5, and so we want our 7 under the house and the 6 close and 5, so that, basically, Larch Street's at 5, and we're just looking for a 7 underneath the house, but it's not going to, reduce or increase that ocean water that's causing the problem right now.
But the debris that is washing ashore is coming from the neighbor that has the debris in their yard, which hasn't been cleaned up, even though it's been
They're
asked.
working on it. It's,
Are the boats still there? Last time I think we were out there, Denise, there were several boats in that
Yeah,
yard, and you and Kwame talked about it when you last visited Lark.
Correct. I think we need to take another look at that and to start setting a time frame for them.
I know he is working on it. I see him out there every day working.
And there's property on Hemlock that has a legal dock that wasn't permitted.
And that's me. and
Oh,
I'm-
okay.
Yeah, and I'm working on that now with the engineering, JC Engineering's
Is it-
working on that.
since
So
we're back-
You'll see me again soon.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much,
Yeah, and the other
Jennifer.
thing, you were saying that was a chicken coop. Actually, the chicken coop is on the other large home, and it's just there's a blue shed on theirs that they're wanting to remove, so.
Yep.
Oh, so the chicken coop is staying, that belongs to the
that's-
neighbor?
Yeah, that's something else that's.
Interesting, okay.
That is interesting.
Thank you, Jennifer.
That's all I had. That was
Thank you.
concerned about the water.
Yes,
All right, thanks.
thank you. Anybody else online or in the audience for comments? Josh, your turn.
I think it's no different than what you already approved, so your standard order of conditions would be,
With erosion control,
it's proposed on the plan.
yep.
I motion to close the hearing?
I have a motion to close the hearing, and second, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the hearing is closed. Josh, standard order of conditions?
Correct.
I motion to approve with the standard order of conditions?
I have a motion and a second, all in favor. Aye. Opposed, abstained, 700.
Thank
You
so
got it.
much. Appreciate
Good
it.
luck with zoning.
Yes, that'll be
in
next February's
25?
problem. That's
Back in,
2 years unless you get a vote of planning board and ZBA that it's a substantial change, and you can't sell this as a substantial change,
wow.
for sure.
Okay, thank you. The next one is,
Daniel Ward?
next one is Ward.
Okay.
Want me to leave that there, or just?
I don't think it's in,
Okay, this is a notice of intent for David Ward, 73 Leonard Street, West Wareham, Mass., to remove crushed stone from the adjacent driveway, map 78/3, lot 187, 73 Leonard Street, West Wareham, Mass.
I have a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open up the hearing.
Second?
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, I remembered this time. Please identify yourself.
Daniel Ward.
It's only been 2 weeks, and you're
Oh,
back.
That was quick.
Yes, 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 yes. Talk to us about what you're going to be doing.
Well, last time I was here, it was determined that putting the gravel on the parking site that we've been using for this whole time was considered an alteration. And the idea was that even though there has been gravel on that site in the past, and even though it's always been used for the purpose that it's continuing to be used for now, having that gravel there would impede vegetation. So when we first put it down, I was here 3 days later, 5 days later, or whatever.
Someone called.
It was pretty quick. So yeah, I came in and said, yeah, I don't know, maybe crushed stone does impede vegetation, but I think quite a few of you went there today, and there's no impeding of vegetation whatsoever. I mean, there's the same amount of vegetation that was growing through now as it was before. So the NOI said I can remove the gravel and I can scrape off the top of the gravel and put it in the driveway, and I'll be happy to do that. I would argue that I don't know if that's necessarily necessary. I mean, the only reason we put it there is for worker safety, so that it's not as slippery when we're working over there in the mud, you know, when rainwater pools in that area. And if there was gravel there in the past, vegetation is growing through. I would argue that this is just regular maintenance, but obviously it's the purview of the board. So if you want me to scrape it off and put it in the driveway, I will.
Okay. Jessica, questions?
Come back to me.
If I remember, I didn't
If you-
remember, I
it's
didn't
fine.
remember last time.
I didn't need
So,
it.
Paula Jean,
Well, it seems like each time you put another layer, one puts another layer of gravel on top, it's gonna impede a little more vegetation. Lots of these plants, as a gardener, don't give up, and they keep trying to come through, but, you know, it's incremental, it's not like all or nothing, it's on a continuum. So, it's gonna impede vegetation, but not as dramatically as more would. That's my only comment.
Autumn,
No questions, thank you.
Carol,
No questions, thank you.
Michael. Hi. Gotcha, Michael.
So, wait a minute, he's going to comment a minute.
No, I switched it up.
No comments, thank you.
Kwame.
No questions.
Denise.
No questions.
Donna.
No questions.
Josh. Any
Um,
comments, please?
I would just state that the commission approved a site plan that showed existing stone parking surface, and the area that was filled, outlined in red, was identified as marsh.
And it still should be returned to marsh. Okay. Is there anybody online or in the audience who would like to talk about the project at 73 Leonard Street? I'm seeing none. And Josh, your recommendation?
I mean, if the notice of intent is a request to remove the gravel area that was altered during, the violation, then it would be approve the notice of intent and issue an order of conditions.
And the gravel will be placed on the driveway?
Why, on the NOI, I said on the driveway and on the other side of the building. Could I put it there too, since that's disturbed land as well? That's also where we park boats. And can I just say one other thing too? I've done this before where I'm not an engineer. They also forgot there's a third driveway on the building. I did this in Bourne and they called salt marsh eelgrass. So like I need to be checking these plans a lot better, but just because they called it salt marsh, there might not have been boat trailers there at the time or whatever, so I think just because they didn't mark it as parking, that shouldn't be held against me. But, so I basically said the driveway and the other side of the building, and that's where we have boats parked, that's where we have trailers parked, it's disturbed lands, it's not, there's no salt marsh grass or anything like that.
So
Eventually it does transition
It's
into salt
removing
marsh,
10
so
yards of crushed stone,
Yep,
utilizing light machinery, shovels, and wheelbarrows.
yep.
Material will be added to adjacent driveway and areas around the existing marina building, which already contains some crushed stone material.
Yep. It's the exact same
Yep.
crushed stone that's in the driveway too, so same exact thing.
All right. Josh, did I ask for I asked for your comments. Now I need your recommendation, no, in a minute. Is nobody here to talk about the project online or in the audience? I see none.
I motion to close the hearing.
Second. I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstains. The hearing is closed. And standard order of conditions,
Correct.
a fine for placing the gravel in the first place, a $300 fine because it would not have been permitted.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty common with how the commission normally acts.
I motion to approve with the standard order of conditions and the issuance of a $300 fine.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? I didn't get back to you.
It's fine. I'm not shy. I'll just speak up if I end up with a question.
700. See Josh before you start the work.
Okay,
Okay?
sure.
You're good. Thank you.
I'm later on in this thing under,
Just a way of tracking our ongoing enforcement.
so I'm all set for this.
Yeah, you don't have to stay.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okey dokey. So Guess what? Number 7, under uncontinued enforcements, has now been taken care of. All right, next one is Regan.
This is a notice of intent for David Regan, 34 Briarwood Drive, Wareham, Mass. Attached to the rear of the house is a 12 by 16 deck, which requires digging 3 concrete piers that are 4 feet deep. Map 53, Lot 211, 34 Briarwood Drive, Wareham, Mass.
And who is here to represent this project?
David Regan.
All right, David, talk to us about the project, please.
It's the 12 by 16 pressure-treated deck, 3 concrete piers hooked on by the Simpson saddleback onto the deck. If I hit water when I go down, I'll have to use pumps 24 hours until the concrete sets.
Okay. Questions? Michael?
Okay, now I got it this time, thank you. I'm a little bit confused here. It seems that it's gonna be in the back of the house, correct?
Correct.
Now, on page, that's what it says on page 11 in the application. But on page 10, it says the proposed project's in the front of the house. It said like proposed garage next to the house with, I guess, I guess there's like another, I guess like shed or something.
Yeah, the shed was
behind it.
existing when I bought the
Correct.
property.
So just to confirm, it's actually behind the house, correct?
Correct, on the right-hand side of the house.
All right, I just wanted to
Behind the
confirm,
house, yeah.
confirm that. Gotcha, thank you.
Kwame?
No, I visited the property, everything was marked out, staked out, but you do get water back there in the back?
Well, we did until we put some
Halted.
more fill back there from our last zoning and all that stuff that I had to go through for that.
Right. Yeah, so that's about it, everything was
On a
good.
regular tide anyways. I don't know about the 100-year storms.
Torrential rain.
No questions, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Jessica?
No questions. Thank you.
Donna?
No questions.
Denise?
Do no activity zones come into this at all? Josh?
No.
Okay, no questions.
Is there anybody online or in the audience would like to comment on this project at 34 Briarwood Drive? I see none.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Hearing is closed. Josh, your recommendations?
The recommendation would be the issuance of your standard order of conditions.
I motion to approve with the standard order of conditions.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, and I forgot to open the hearing. Please, someone remind me if I do that again. Thank you. And see Josh before you start the work.
Okay, thank you.
The next one, I believe the next 3 for 9 over Jordan Road, G, F, and E have requested a continuance.
That's correct, to our July 3rd hearing.
We'll take them each one at a time, so please please read the descriptions. We'll open the hearing, and then we'll ask for a continuance.
Okay, let me find them. This is a notice of intent for Tom Paterno, 310 Kenneth Welch Drive, Lakeville, Mass. The project includes construction and maintenance of new 4-bedroom, single-family home on piles with a deck, stairs, elevated AC and generator units. Title V sewage disposal system with an IA fast gentrification system, gravel driveway, associated utilities, all grading and landscaping and associated appurtenances. Proposed activities will occur in land subject to coastal storm flowage. Map 20, Lot 1035G, 9 over Jordan Road, Lot 1035-G, Wareham, Mass.
I need a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second made. All in favor?
Aye.
The hearing is open. They have requested a continuance until July 3.
Make
So
a motion
moved.
to continue to July 3rd.
I have that motion. I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 7-3. The next site, I believe, is exactly the same description.
Yes.
It is for, so read the location.
The location is map 20, lot 1035-F, 9 over Jordan Road, lot 1035F, Wareham, Mass.
I make a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to continue the hearing until 7-3.
So moved.
I have that
Second.
motion, and I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. The next one, please.
And this is going to be, let's see,
E.
I gotta find E. Map 20, lot 1035-E, 9 over Jordan Road, lot 1035-E, Wareham, Mass.
I make a motion, I need a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the hearing?
Hearing.
I have a
Second.
motion. I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
7-0-0. I need a motion now to continue this until July 3rd.
Make a motion to continue July 3rd.
I have that
Second.
motion. I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, is continued. The next one is Sweetman.
Okay. This is a notice of intent for Paula Sweetman, 71 Jefferson Shores Road, Buzzards Bay, Mass. Reconstruction of an existing deck partially located on a coastal bank and within the buffer zone to a coastal beach. The existing deck, concrete slope stabilization beneath it, and concrete landing at the top of the steps to the beach will be removed and disposed of off-site. Map 6, Lot 52, 71 Jefferson Shores Road, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. I need a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 7-0. The hearing is open. And who's here representing this project?
Madam Chair, Bob Rogers with GAF Engineering.
And Rob McPhee with McPhee Associates.
Slowly with the name and spelling.
Rob McPhee, MCPHEE, and the company is McPhee Associates.
Thank you. Note taker, our minute taker likes to have that spelling.
Understandable.
So
All right, you're up.
So I'll just briefly give the overview of the site plan, and Rob has all the details on the proposed new deck. Up to the, so this was a notice of intent that Brian Grady put together before he took off on me and went on vacation to leave me with this.
Okay.
But anyway, so he gives kind of a detailed description, a little bit of the history of that we think that this deck has been on this lot for, roughly 50 years. I hope as many of you had a chance to go to the site and look at it as could. It's not in great shape, and there's a lot of concrete underneath it. So we're going to remove all of the existing deck, concrete steps, all the underlying concrete, and we want to put ground cover underneath. In Brian's letter, he suggests bearberry or barren strawberry. But so we would, get rid of all that concrete, install the 6 sonotubes with an auger, stabilize the soil, construct the wood deck. There's no work proposed associated with the existing stairs with the exception of a new landing, which just says provide new landing as required, which I would suggest is new landing as is suitable also to this commission. We have erosion controls in the form of straw wattles and silt fence shown on the plan and with a detail. So it is an improvement in terms of a severe reduction in impervious for your 30-foot no-activity zone. And, I would note that, so we have labeled on our plan as a top of the coastal bank and reference to the regulations. I think the DEP file number mentioned that it was GIS mapped as a coastal dune. I don't know if, I mean, we'd like to, you know, rebuild this deck and keep it exactly the same size as the present one and make it environmentally better. You know, so I guess whether it's a coastal bank, coastal dune, combination of the two, you know, Brian makes the opinion that it's not providing sediment to the coastal beach down below. And again, certainly, so to go from a roughly poured, basically like a concrete pad with a slope to it that's under there now, to have just 6 16-inch sonotubes and vegetation, that's really the biggest improvement at, you know, other than the safety factor.
I'm
for the
surprised
deck
that deck is still,
itself.
Right.
you put enough shivs underneath that 4x4 to keep that thing upright. It was not, did not look pretty underneath. Please, Rob, your comments.
I mean, I think Bob covered it really well. It's just, it's, you know, it's not a very functional deck as it is today. It's not safe, and it's a real mess below it on the embankment. So we want to clean that up for the owner, who's in the audience with us this evening, and reconstruct a deck that's in the exact same footprint as what's there today. And as Paula mentioned, she's got pictures of that deck from when she was 5 years old, you know, standing out there. So it's been around for a long time. And they've had a lot of enjoyment out of it. They just want to continue with that.
All right, I'll start asking questions. Carol?
No questions, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Paula Jean?
No questions, just it's on its last legs, so
Literally.
gotta do something. That's it.
Jessica?
No questions.
Kwame?
I'm just shocked that there's almost 50 years that deck's been just hanging on, almost, right? But I'm very interested, you know, how you're going to stabilize that, because it's a mess underneath, so. But that's just a concern, that's all. But look forward to having a safer deck for everybody.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Denise?
Could you elaborate on how you're going to do underneath?
For the removal, we're going to use an excavator coming down the left side of the house, and we're going to come down and just cut up the deck and take that out in sections, and then we're going to just use the claw to pick up those chunks of concrete. The steepness of the hill and the size of the debris that's down there, it's just, I think you'd make a bigger mess trying to break it up into manageable pieces by hand.
And then what? What are you putting in?
Then the tubes will go in, concrete will be pumped in, and then after the deck is constructed, the revegetation, the planting to stabilize the embankment underneath.
It's going to be nice. It's a beautiful area.
Nice improvement from what's there.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful area, and I'm surprised the deck hasn't slid it.
I know.
And taken her father with it when he sat out there. God bless him. Thank you.
Donna?
No questions, it's a good improvement. Thank you.
Now, the vegetation that's there now, all of that nasty stuff down slope will stay, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're just really focused on the
So
footprint of the deck.
I guess they don't mind bittersweet staying, but at least it is in the ground and stabilize the ground. How will you manage the erosion of the soil underneath the new deck?
So there's
Well, you-
erosion control. Yeah.
Yeah,
please
you'll-
Yeah, we call for, in the letter, you know, on the plan, it's our typical plan, right? All disturbed areas are going to get loamed and seeded. I took a quick look online at the barren strawberry and bearberry, and it seems to be salt tolerant, drought tolerant. You know, it can withstand shade. You know, we're not married to it. You know, but I think it needs to be a viney type ground cover that, you know, can survive under there. You know, it's going to be protected. You know, the deck will provide protection from a heavy rainstorm. So, you know,
And the letter of May 13th does say, was stabilized with an erosion control blanket overlaid with a coarse mulch layer, and I just wanted that in the record as opposed to just in the letter.
Yeah, so.
So that is, the concern is that the erosion blanket will be there, and you'll be placing various shrubs underneath it that don't mind shade.
Yeah, I think that should be a special condition in the order.
Well, I would reference the May 13th letter in the condition at the recommendation. Yeah.
Either way, or just a sentence special condition that says
Okay.
exactly that, you know.
All right. Yes. Josh, your comments on it, and I'll ask you for a recommendation later, but your comments.
Sure, so I met with Brian out on the site. We did, him and I talked about the coastal bank and whether it was an eroding coastal bank, supplying sediment to the beach. And I would agree that it is not, that the amount of vegetation that's on that bank is holding it pretty well. Let that be a note to anyone who has coastal banks that are eroding. But I think it's a good project.
Is there anybody online or in the audience who would like to comment at 71 Jefferson Shore Road? I'm seeing none. I've asked everybody, right? Yep. I'm seeing none.
I motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I opposed, abstain. Josh, your recommendation, standard order of condition?
Yep, and the one special condition of the erosion control blanket and mulch to be added under the deck.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. You're done. See, Josh, before you have your work, and it is a gorgeous, and anybody who visited, did anybody look at the building next to it at 67 Jefferson Shore Road?
Yes.
Do you remember what that was like in the fight we had to get that area cleaned up? It is amazing. So if anybody's listening, 67, I just can't believe what they did and how they restored what they had done wrong. But what a nice piece of property for a neighbor. But it was, I
Can't imagine
stopped
us
the car and I
sitting
said,
on a concrete couch, though.
huh?
I can't imagine sitting on a concrete
Well,
couch.
I was so impressed with what they had done with the slope, restoring 67.
I'm on
Off, another topic, but I didn't, I just wanted
you.
to
Thank you so much.
comment that better for the neighborhood, and thank you, your project is approved. Again, see Josh before you start anything. All right. We have the continued hearing for Schaff. I don't think we've had a comment yet. We haven't spoken to attorney yet, have we, on this?
I think we did continue this to July 3rd.
July 3rd.
Okay. So it's already continued.
And no, I haven't heard anything from either party.
Okay.
What'd you say for the date?
July 3rd. For a reminder, we do not have a meeting on June 19th.
19th. Juneteenth, we have no meeting.
Was Paterno July 3rd, too?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we doing it at a different date? I missed that. I know we're skipping the
No,
Juneteenth.
we're July 7th, July 3 is our next meeting,
Oh,
Okay.
right? Oh, yeah, July 3 is our next meeting.
Julian Morton is online. She was, or it looks like she would like to speak.
For this hearing, for
Um,
Shaft,
Why don't you let her in? and we can-
for 6 Valley Road?
Yes.
But we continued it last
I think
meeting
we-
to July 3rd.
We continued it till 7/3, so can we take comments?
Comments.
Because it was not publicized as being discussed today.
Yeah, you're correct.
Oh, can you hear me, Josh?
We can.
It's not for Valley. It was for the chef continued hearing.
Erin and Michael Schaff of 6 Valley Road.
Yes.
Yeah, we had previously continued that to July 3rd at our last hearing.
And that's what I saw. I just wanted to let you guys know that you will have some title reports coming along and some information to review.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have a continued hearing for Prime Engineering, 370 County Road. Anybody here for that?
Hi, Attorney Julian Morton here. I'm online. Our engineer should be in person.
All right. The continued hearing for Prime Engineering, 370 County Road, and who is here representing the project, please?
Richard Rayom, Chief Engineer, Prime Engineering.
Okay, Richard.
Last name again?
I'm going to ask you to spell your last name for me, please.
It's RHEAUME.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, and so you're up to discuss the project.
So we've made presentations to you in the past, and we got a positive approval from the peer reviewer, but the fire captain, since that time, said that we need to provide a 20-foot wide, all-season roadway to the solar arrays. So that's shown in red over here. There was previously 12 to 14 foot wide. There's a paved section right at County Road to the residence. The first several hundred feet going to the house is currently pavement. So we're going to replace that pavement, essentially the same width, and just put 2 4-foot strips of gravel either side of it, so that the day-to-day travel is on a hard, non-erosive surface with some parking there. And the rest of the way is basically a 20-foot wide driveway. So we've submitted to you revised plans dated May 28th, and submitted it to the fire captain, and he has approved those plans. He did allow a pinch point. I've shown in green here where the wetlands are close to the, let me see if I get it here. This area is, I've colored in green, and this area in green is wetland. So we're basically coming through. We don't have any wetland impacts, direct it's not filling or dredging of wetlands, but we're close to the wetlands, within 12 feet of
But that road exists today.
Pardon?
That road exists today.
Yes.
You just have to widen it.
That's correct.
Okay.
The other pinch point is right where there's a reservoir to the north and a abandoned cranberry bog to the south. And right in this area, the existing drive is actually less than that. It's 16 foot wide, and the fire captain has allowed us to shrink it, to have that pinch point. Rather than filling and having a wetlands impact, he's allowed us to make it 16 foot wide.
16-foot wide road at that point.
At that point.
Okay.
Which it exists now, that
Okay.
width. And the only other thing is there's actually a culvert that goes underneath that drive. It's HDP, high-density polyethylene, and he wanted assurance that that was strong enough to sustain heavy loads from his fire trucks. And so we're proposing to put a concrete slab to span that area below the surface. So we'll just basically remove soil, put a reinforced concrete slab, and then put the soil back. So this is a blow-up to showing you the overview. We have a large-scale plan showing the green hatching is the paved area. The red that you see alongside is gravel. Once we've passed the existing home and garage, it goes back to just a gravel surface. And then, again, at the pinch point, this red square is that concrete slab that spans that culvert. And we've dimensioned where it's 16 feet wide. And it's only from that culvert for a short distance that it's narrow. Every else is 20 feet. So in the narrative, the only thing that we added, some commenters had talked about whether we were losing habitat. And so we added a section where we're explaining that we're putting in, underneath the solar fields, a pollinator meadow, basically something that's friendly to bees and other pollinators. And it also provides very good habitat for little critters. And we keep our fence 6 inches off the ground, so the little critters can go under the fence and get the shelter and the food source. And so we've added a table that showed the comparison of what was there under existing conditions, which is basically a white pine forest with very little understory shrubs and very little herbaceous growth. So our meadow is actually going to be more lush than what's there today. But the rest of the narrative is the same.
All right. Josh, could I ask for your comments first before I ask questions around?
So this project came before the commission, I don't know, maybe it started about 10 months ago.
August 23.
Okay, yeah, so about 10 months ago. The commission felt it was a large enough project to require a peer review, so we enlisted the town consultant, Phil Cadero, to do a peer review. In his initial letter, he had a few comments about when earth removal or earth moving activity started, stockpiles should be identified and erosion controls put around those piles. He also said that the project is going to require a stormwater pollution prevention plan, and that should be filed with the commission before any earth removal or activities begin as well. I did ask Phil to re-review the new set of plans that were presented, just because there were changes. So I sent an email to him to get a review of the plans. I haven't heard back from him yet, so I think it would be in the commission's best interest to continue the hearing until we have his comments on the project. Yeah, those would be my comments.
And these new plans were from 5/28.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go around. Michael,
I got no comments at this time, thank you.
Kwame,
Battery storage? There won't be any battery storage next to the resource areas, right?
No, I failed to mention that instead of detention basins, what we've constructed are retention basins. So we're capturing the runoff from the solar arrays and we're percolating all of it into the ground. So it basically recharges the groundwater table and feeds the wetlands over time rather than, immediately following a storm. So there's no erosion that goes into the wetlands. There's no rush of water that gets into the wetlands, no point source. It's recharge of the groundwater.
But you're not storing,
he asked about the battery. There's no battery
Oh,
in
no
this project.
batteries, sorry. There are no batteries.
there's no batteries. Oh, okay, thank you.
Carol,
No questions at this time, thank you.
Autumn,
Could you please remind me of what kind of material will be used to extend the road?
I didn't understand.
What kind of material will you use to extend the road?
It's going to be crushed stone and sand that binds up together.
Okay, thank you.
Paula Jean.
Well, since they can't be here tonight, I want to ask a question for the smaller animals. Who are they? You said there's going to be, was it 6-inch or 8-inch fence?
6-inch opening between the ground and the bottom of the fence.
So that's good for little tiny ones. And then how high is the fence after the 6 inches?
I believe it's 6 feet high.
So 6 feet high. So, and nothing is in the ground, so something can dig underneath. I'm thinking like rabbits.
No. It's open. I mean.
It is open. Okay.
Raccoons and rabbits could easily go underneath. I'm amazed at what animals get into my garden.
Yeah, well, I just want to get a word in edgewise for those guys. They need that. So that's a nice touch. That's a small but good thing. And the pollinators, the entire thing is going to be planted underneath?
Yes, it's all pollinator.
Do you know what you're going to be planting, or do you have a plan with what will be planted?
There are specific pollinator mixes to get certified as a legitimate meadow, you have to plant specific.
Right.
Some of them are annual, but most are perennial.
Of course.
And
Some are sun-loving and some thrive in shade, so I don't know how much shade you're gonna get from the panels.
Believe it or not, in solar arrays, underneath the panels, if we plant grass, it's lush grass. In between the panels where the sun, it's sort of more barren.
So they're translucent, you're
underneath-
saying they're translucent.
Underneath the panels will be phenomenally lush, and it'll still be fine underneath. The plants that like the harsh sun will dominate in between.
Sure,
And
of
those that
course.
like the shade will be really lush underneath.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Jessica.
No questions at this time.
Donna.
I was not involved when this project was originally approved or considered by the commission. I'm generally not in favor of cutting forests for solar arrays, but I will abstain from any further comment.
Denise.
Do you have a written approval from the fire captain for the things that you say he
I don't have
agreed
it in
to?
hand yet, but he was going to be transmitting it.
Okay, will you provide it to Josh for the file?
I have the letter.
You have it? Okay.
Okay.
I know that I recently went through and found a paper concerning pollination under solar panels. It's a great program that I read about. I will give it to Josh to give to you, so that, because it made suggestions as to what to plant underneath for the pollinator-friendly solar arrays. So I'll give that to Josh and provide it to you. Okay?
Yep.
Good, thank you.
All right, anybody in the audience? Yes, I see your hand. Anybody online? Okay, come on up and identify yourself, and nothing, only new information. Do not repeat what you've already presented to us. And identify yourself, please.
Annie Hayes, 52 Farmers Lane. It's a little hard to remember over this period of time what I've already said. I would like to pick up on the deforestation aspect. And we are looking presently at the project at Faring Hill, which is a 44-acre upland deforestation, at the Hidden Trails, which is 36 acres, and at this project, which is 18 acres of upland forest. That's 98 acres, another large swath of the absence of forest in Wareham. And this is a critical location. I would say all forests are critical. But the area here is Faring Hill, 92 feet. And it is the watershed for this whole area. It feeds the Weeweeantic, the Sipacan, and I can send out copies, and the Cohacket Brook that runs right along through here that feeds the east branch of the Sipacan. This is the west branch of the Sipacan. But it goes in all directions, never mind the north and above this space. And without that watershed, if that watershed is clear-cut and water is diverted from one side of that to the other side in this proposal, and the lack of the forests, and then all of these bogs have broken up the waterways. I'm reading about rebogging, rewilding bogs to not just let them go wild, because that doesn't do anything. You still have all those ditches. But to remove the ditches as they are in Mattapoisett at the bogs.
On this topic, please.
I am. And so this whole area has been so re-engineered over the years and continues to be with these projects. And when I went downstairs the last planning board meeting, the new map that's on the wall shows where shellfishing is prohibited. The entire Weeweeantic and Sipacan rivers are bright red. We do not have clean rivers because we do not have a system that created the rivers and filters the rivers and filters our wells and provides a wildlife corridor that now is going to get more broken up. And about the runoff, you've heard me say this before, but there's new information all the time about now not microparticles, but nanoparticles, tiny, tiny bits. What did we hear about in a liter of water or a bottle of water? 24 or 32,000 little nanoparticles that go into our cells. And this is where I keep insisting that we ask a proponent what panels they're using, because the hydrophobic coatings and the anti-reflective coatings are made of chemistry, and if you research them, you'll see that there's talk about nanoparticles, and they can degrade. And these water experts talked about the ones, polyvinyl fluoride has been used as a coating, and this is a good paragraph, and that'll end it. Recent developments in toxicology coupled with significant political pressure have put PFAS on the fast track for regulation in drinking water and wastewater. While co-occurrence is well known for a variety of contaminants like trichosan and tricocarbon, the connection between microplastics, she hasn't even gotten to nanoplastics because this is a couple years old, and PFAS has not been studied in much detail despite being linked together in multiple ways. Not only can some PFAS occur as microplastics, such as polyvinyl fluoride, PFV, which is on the coatings of solar panels, and polytetrafluoroethylene. It is also used as a coating on synthetic textiles and plastic components that then break down to fiber or particle-based macro, meso, or microparticles. Moreover, non-PFAS microplastics can involve PFAS at certain stages in their production process, and for example, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, which we use all the time. I just talked to a friend tonight. Hyannis residents have been tested for the PFAS, and their blood levels are high. Thank you.
Wait, Annie, one quick question. How many acres did you say this project is going to clear?
I thought it was 18, Sandy.
Okay, because my note says 10.
Maybe it's an 18.
I had a 2.76 and a 7.1,
What do you have?
Right,
sir?
that would be correct.
10 acres.
Is it 18 acres with roads?
Yeah, probably with the
I'm
roads
just talking
and
about clearing the woods.
But for roads, you have to clear the woods.
Yeah, it might be.
Well, the roads are there already.
It might be beyond the fence for the solar array, there is a clearing. That's also pollinator field, that's being improved as habitat.
In order to keep the, to reduce the shade by clear, okay, thank you.
So still 10 acres all told?
I think 18, I think.
You're, okay,
18.
okay, I heard him.
Annie, can I get a copy of the, whatever report you read from about the PFAS?
Oh, the Water Online, yes.
Correct.
I will send everyone one. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Are you interested in the maps? I'll send the maps.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got them, I'll send them. I'd appreciate it for the file.
And I'm very interested in this rewilding. Would you like to have that as well? Yes, Paul. Okay. Okay.
Send it all to me and I'll forward it to the commission.
Oh, right, thank you, Josh.
Anybody else online or in the audience? Yes, please come forward and identify yourself.
Madam Chair, just a point of order. Comments should be specific to this.
I tried. I tried.
Eric Lintela, 15 Squirrel Island Road, West Wareham. Just briefly about the trees, it is a shame that we have to cut down so many forests for, what do we have, at least 19 solar fields in Wareham now. And majority of them cut down the forest to put them in, which is a little crazy. Green energy is important, we need to do that, but to cut the trees makes no sense. At the May 13th Planning Board meeting, in which Prime Engineering made a presentation, we got into the subject of the habitat area, et cetera. And there were some statements made that I found very disturbing. It was suggested by Prime Minister they will be creating a pollinated meadow. It was also stated that the solar field will improve animal habitat as opposed
I
to a
heard,
tree.
is that associated with the wetland bylaw? Are they within the 30 feet of the 50 feet of the water?
I'm not,
Probably not. I mean, we're here to talk about conservation. Yes,
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
But it's within our privy, within 100 feet of the wetlands. Yes.
okay.
Okay.
What I was stating that, what they stated, the solar field will improve animal habitat as opposed to a treed site.
Yeah, that's, okay.
We're
I
talking
heard that.
about the
Yep.
animals that exist there.
Yep.
And a solar field will be a better environment versus what already exists.
They made that comment, thank you.
Another comment was made, said that turtles live in the water.
And we know that doesn't, isn't.
What I'm
They
getting
gotta come on land in order to lay their
is
eggs,
we
yes.
have a major solar company proposing for this site, and it doesn't seem to be they've done their due diligence of research. I asked where they got their information about the habitat site, as this is a not high habitat area. Did they do an on-site study? No, was the reply.
Okay.
Taken offline from mass.gov. But also on mass.gov, under the fisheries, there's the rare species viewer that shows what does exist there. Not endangered, threatened species. So
But still have squirrels and still has the
But-
critters that are not endangered, yes.
It was mentioned also, this is a corridor. If we're going north and south along on County Road, we have this solar project. Just north of it, we're going to have Hidden Trails. There's another solar project already there, and Faring Hill is coming up, cutting down major forests along this waterway and habitat corridor.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Anybody else? We are going to continue, how long do you?
Madam Chair?
Oh, I didn't see your hand, sorry. Come up and identify yourself. And there's somebody online? Okay. Okay.
My name
Oh,
is
wait.
Amy Tamagini, and I just wanted to talk about the forests as well and how important they are.
As opposed to oystering, yes, Amy.
I just wrote something really quick, and I just want to read it. Science shows that preserving our forests with their intact ecosystems and biodiversity are critical to addressing the climate crisis we are facing. Forests combat the effects of climate change by providing cooler temperatures, mitigating flooding, and purifying the air. Undeveloped forested land is crucial to sequestering carbon, and forests are the only proven technology that Massachusetts has for sequestering carbon to achieve our net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Is somebody online?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's Attorney Jillian Morton. I'm the attorney for 370 County Road.
Hi, Julian.
I would like to just respond and draw the commission's attention to a lot of these comments. We are in front of Planning Board as well. And we have a narrative that's over 260 pages that was submitted with appendices regarding endangered species, the effects. So, you know, as far as us saying that we haven't done our due diligence is something that we have provided the documentation. I do agree with what Josh had said. I know Phil has not gotten back to us on this, but we have, I did speak to Captain Smith personally, who did say that he liked the revisions on our plan and you do have the documentation. So I think the only thing open is the peer review, giving you a response to see if it's adequate.
Okay, thank you. So, anybody else online or in the audience? Because how long do you think it will take the peer review of the May 28th plans to be completed? July 3rd? Since it's the next hearing anyway.
Right, yeah, I think it would be appropriate to continue to then.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
Can we, as a commission, take into account cumulative effect of solar fields in Wareham?
I don't think that's part of our bylaw.
That's what I wanted
Is it,
to-
Josh? I don't think so. Nope.
So we have to look at each project individually and cannot look at things cumulatively.
You can, but I don't think It's not in our bylaw. It's not like we've done with the docks.
Okay. That's something to consider.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we're looking at a continuance until 7/3, waiting peer review for the new plans. So
So
moved.
moved, second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Abstain. Abstain, denied. 7/3 were continued.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
601, is that what it was? Somebody abstained? Sandy, it was 601, somebody abstained, is that
I'm
what you
sorry?
said?
No, it was 700. I didn't,
Thank you.
I didn't finish
No, I
all
was
the way
trying to
through.
hear.
The next one is David Darling, and this is Water Whiz.
I don't understand.
We have new plans.
This is part of our bylaw.
That's what I'm looking at.
Okay,
I'm about this.
please identify yourselves.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Mr. Farady. For the record, Eric Bransky, attorney on behalf of the applicant.
Taylor Dowdy, Site Civil Engineering, BSC Group.
Matt Byrne, professional wetland scientist, BSC Group.
You've been before us before, all three of you. All right, talk to us about your new plans.
We have hopefully an easier share this time with Amanda Smith, who is with us remotely. Hopefully she's going to be able to talk through the wetland replacement plan that she has put together for us. We have, as I recall, about 4,500 square feet of proposed IVW fill. And we have put together a proposed plan for wetland replacement, which includes the about 33,000 square feet of buffer zone restoration and 11,000 square feet of wetland replacement. And hopefully, it looks like her slide deck is up, so I think she'll be able to share that with us.
Okay. Amanda, you're up.
Hi, I'm Amanda Smith with BSC Group. So quick reminder, location of where the project is, some touches on the waiver requests and bylaw provisions that we're trying to work under. So we asked for a waiver to either waive or reduce no activity zone requirements within the 50-foot no activity zone area. And that is something that can be done or requested if it is within an area that's currently paved or altered within the buffer zone. We're talking about a lot of areas that have been used as overflow parking and encroachment into those 50-foot, 100-foot buffer zones, and there's not much vegetation, and it's kind of compacted and altered, as well as the commission's prerogative to decide if it is necessary to accommodate a project that has an overall public or environmental benefit. Oop, that line got moved, but that's the point, the public benefit. So we were talking about the importance of improving the parking, accessibility, and circulation. And also the ecological benefit will be the benefits to the buffer zone as well, and expansion of that buffer zone. So the public need is a need for increased spaces as well as adding accessible spaces and improving circulation out into the Cranberry Highway area. Additionally, we are requesting to fill 4,500 feet of isolated vegetated wetland protected locally. It is not protected state and federal. We are proposing to replace that at a 1 to 1.4 ratio, which would be about 6,298, or let's say 6,300 square feet. The commission may authorize this with professional design and expertise, and so I wanted to highlight our team that's been working on this. Matt Burns, senior ecologist at BSC, went out to the site with me, as did Ethan Sneesby, who is a soil scientist and another one of our wetland professionals, and myself as an ecologist and a restoration specialist. Looking at the site, we had heard from the commission the concerns about these mounds and kind of restoring a more natural landscape and gradual transition into the wetland zone. So we made a note of the depth of these mounds, what's in them, as well as the invasive species all throughout that corridor. Looking into the soils, we found that the water table is about 2 feet down, and that was pretty consistent across this whole blue zone. And then about 3 or a little bit lower than that at elevation 3 and 4 is where we got into some buried organic soils from historic marsh complexes that used to be all over the Cape. And so we're hoping to dig down to that area, and this central piece is our prime opportunity zone. The buried organics are very deep over here, like 7, 8 feet, maybe more, and they're rather shallow up on this north corner. And the water table is about 1 foot down, but there isn't much like soil hydrology. It's just kind of remnant soils, not full hydric soils. So that informed the shape and kind of location of where we think we'll get the best wetland replication, where it will just naturally thrive and be happy. And we can also use those organic soils instead of disturbing and removing carbon or impacting that. We can just build that into the design with it as well. Looking at it, we have the 6,298 square feet in this main central area. The exact depth will vary because we want to look at digging down to the organics, which could be a little bit irregular. And so that will be fine-tuned by the field crews doing the work, but this gives you a general sense of how the depths, because we also don't want to create a pond, and we don't want to drain this wetland over to here. We want to match it so that it becomes a system that is continuous throughout both of them. We also are going to try and leave a little bit of a berm and kind of cut through some areas once we get down below those berms that are out there. And that will allow water to flow through, but also maybe save some of the trees, or at least the root masses that are in and along this edge, so that we don't have to get into impacts to the existing wetland system. We want to connect the hydrology and also use groundwater hydrology, but we don't want to get too cause damage. We want to just expand and restore. Additionally, the outer edges, about additional 5,000 square feet, will be close to that high water table area and will likely want to become hydrologic and become a wetland over time. We don't want to guarantee that, especially within our window of time frame, but we also didn't want to make too big of a size that's going to fail. We wanted to guarantee what we can. So we think that this inner zone will be an easy replication, and the edges will allow some opportunity for expansion or shifting or moving as wetlands will change over time. So that would be a total of 11,000 square feet of potential wetland replication. But again, we're just guaranteeing that 6,298. Additionally, we do have a lot of plantings proposed and seeding all throughout the outer edge, which will become the buffer zone. And so that'll be another 33,800 square feet of restoration, native plantings, pollinator plants, and habitat restoration. There had been a comment from an abutter about adding some no activity zones by creating additional 50-foot buffer onto their property. So the red line shown is the current 50-foot buffer based on the existing wetland system, BVW, not counting the IVW. And then if we look at the buffer around our zone, it's contained completely within that parcel. So it won't impact development of anyone adjacent to this zone, but we still do have a lot of separation and buffer, which will be really good for our wetlands, have a buffer zone in between. And then we have our planting plan, which is pretty comprehensive. It is almost all made up of plants that we already see on site and existing, and things that we would replace as some trees will have to be cleared. We have like a comprehensive list so that we're kind of bringing all of that back. And that is the presentation. Let us know if you have any questions.
A lot to cover.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to ask the board some questions as to what was just presented. Okay. Denise, I'm going to start with you.
I'm looking, can you bring that picture back up again? Who had the picture up there? The center area, from what I'm seeing on what I have in my hand, says that it's a 1.5 to 1 ratio. It is not, it's a 1.4? Is that what you're telling me? and that the outer area with the lines running through it is a 2-to-1 ratio? Is that correct? But you're not guaranteeing the 2-to-1, you're only guaranteeing a 1.5 or 1.4? Is that correct?
If, Amanda, I can...
She's muted.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. That's it.
Sorry.
Is that the illustration you're looking
Correct.
at? Yeah. So we feel confident with the ability to intersect groundwater and have hydrology that's going to be certainly wetland and meet the requirements of WPA standards for replication in that 6,298 square feet. That's basically 1.4
Okay.
to 1. The additional 5,200 square feet will be designed to be wetland. It will be planted as wetland, but it is because of what we observed in the groundwater in our test pits and the depth to organics, where we think that may be a transitional marginal zone. We talked about that last time. So really what we're showing is a total of 11,500 square feet, which is 2.5 to 1.
Okay.
With what we had talked about, that marginal section, which represents about 1.2 times the replication area, being an area that we expect to possibly go wet, possibly go on the drier side, but be transitional and be kind of what a wetland is, something that changes over time.
Correct. Okay.
And that's, within the context of an additional 33,000 square feet of buffer zone restoration, which in most cases we don't get any of that. So that the ability to take that existing parking area and maximize not only the wetland replication, but also getting that buffer zone restoration, we feel is a really good mitigation.
Who is going to be the scientist that is going to be dealing with the replication and the future monitoring?
Between Amanda and myself, we would be she's the restoration ecologist, I'm the wetland ecologist, and we also have our soil scientist that we involved in the initial investigation here, who is, we always bring in on these kinds of projects to look at how the soil's coming along after
How long do you
restoration.
plan on being involved with the project?
I think our proposal was, had we talked about that?
I don't think we discussed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how often and to whom will the reports be made?
We would be happy to sort of work that out with the commission as to a schedule, as to what the expectation is. In my experience, we do annual review and reporting.
And will the reporting be made in writing?
I would suggest that, yes.
Definitely, okay. How will replication failure be handled?
The way we typically deal with replication failure is to go back and fix it.
Okay. Are any of the plants from the old area going to be moved into the new area?
Given what we see out there, in that most of that area that we're looking at is parking.
Okay.
There is no vegetation. In the margin of the wetland, where there's the berm that we're talking about removing, it's mostly invasive.
Okay, excuse me 1 second. I'm sorry. I got something in my throat there. Okay, is there going to be a performance bond or escrow for the purpose of monitoring? And will money be held in escrow for the hiring of scientists and so forth beyond your time with the project?
Yep. So that's something we're willing to discuss. I certainly would recommend, just with most construction projects, having a post-construction, maintenance type period and having a reserve fund for that in terms of a bond or whatever surety the board prefers. In terms of the timeline for that and continued monitoring, I would defer to the experts in the commission on what they think is a fair time. I think it has to be a balance between It can't be 100 years, and it can't be 5 minutes either. So we need to...
It's got to be something that's going to be
It's got to be
viable.
something reasonable, and that makes sense.
Because in Section 8 of our bylaws, it does cover bonds and deposits of money and so forth to cover that type of...
Yep, I'm happy to discuss whether a tri-party agreement, a surety bond, cash bonds are tough, but something along those lines, we could certainly discuss it.
Okay, so then there definitely is not going to be any transplantation.
I don't think it's recommended on this site.
Okay. And what measures will be taken or are in place to handle the invasion of invasive species into the replication area?
That would typically be part of the performance evaluation. I think that the standard in Wetlands Protection Act is 75% after 3 years needs to be native. So that would, I would expect just a similar, kind of practice along those lines.
Where did the 75% come from?
I'm fairly certain it's a requirement of the Wetlands Protection Act regulation. Could be making that up, but it's something that we...
Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's something that we deal with on a lot of our restoration projects. I can hunt down that citation.
Okay, and what methods do you use to prevent the establishment of these invasives?
I didn't hear the question, sorry.
What methods are used to prevent the establishment of invasives in the area?
They turned on the AC, so
Yeah,
we have a
sorry.
hearing. Yeah.
So the methods employed to avoid invasion really are, following best management practices and, doing effective planting plans that are dense enough with natives, and then ongoing monitoring and pulling. We expect, just given the site, we wouldn't have a significant seed bank that we have to worry about.
Okay.
And so it would be pioneer invasion, which tends to be more manageable because that is progressive and usually fairly slow.
All right, so you're planning on doing the 1.4, and then we're hoping that it eventually spreads to be a 2-to-1. Is that what I'm understanding?
2.5.
0.5, okay.
Yeah.
And just to kind of add one asterisk footnote to that, and I know we discussed it before, but we are, in my layman's terms, taking a lesser quality wetland and making a
Correct,
better,
you
more
are.
regulated wetland, and we'd ask that also be taken into account.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
getting rid of that standing water pool that didn't look like did anything. Okay, thank you, Denise. I
Except
knew if
attract
I
mosquitoes.
started with you, we would have a lot on the plate.
Thank you.
So if I'm looking at that, the marginal component of it is an iffy, right? It's an iffy, the marginal,
Yes, but it really is going to be transitional between clear wet and clear buffer zone.
okay, it just not as successful as a wetland replication. It depends on how much rain we get. Anyway,
yeah.
it wasn't my turn to ask the question, so I'm going to go around the table. Michael?
Okay, very quickly, how long do we expect a project like this to take? We're talking about like timelines and so forth in the presentation, so how long do we expect something like this to realistically take?
The actual construction.
Correct.
Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but, a season to do this work.
Yeah, I would say that. It depends on the contractor crew doing it, but it's pretty simple. I've seen it done in a week to a month. And then there's typically a 2 growing season monitoring period where it's checked in on in the spring to remove invasives if any occur, and another one in the fall, and then you get an annual report for those 2 years. And then it's determined, like, is it successful or do we need to take action?
May I follow up on that?
Go ahead.
When do you plan to put the parking lot in? Before or after this?
Well, it would be, this would be the first work that would be done.
Okay.
Of course. We still have to go and seek site plan review
Yep,
after
yep.
this.
All right. Michael, anything else?
That was probably going to be my next question anyway, when were they going to start and so on and so forth. So you beat me to it. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Anything else? Kwame?
I think Denise hit a lot of bullet points. It'll be nice to see that area cleaned up. Did we mention anything about a fence? Did I see something on the fence on the plan?
I don't remember seeing a fence around this.
Fence or something.
We talked about a fence on the western edge of this parcel to keep people from going on to the parking area. I think internally we've talked about a fence on the eastern side to prevent vehicles and things from continuing to access this parcel.
So the fence is around the parking area. By putting around the parking area, you're protecting this area.
Again, I think on the eastern side of this parcel, where the replication is occurring, is open.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something maybe Taylor.
So the problem that we've had in years past, and you've probably seen, is the cars just drive down right by the wetland as it exists and park all the way down. And
Wherever they can find a place to park.
wherever they can find
Yeah.
it. But the whole purpose of this is to stop that from
Yes.
happening. So the fence on the western side is something that will basically fence off the parking lot from, and all these vehicles from accessing that whole area. Nobody really accesses that area from the other side because there's nothing over there. Coming from is that the eastern side?
Yeah, there's no way to
There's
get in
industrial land
behind
back
the
there.
Thai restaurant. You can't really get in that way behind the
over
Thai
there.
restaurant on the, okay.
That's correct. It's landlocked almost.
I'm really bad with north, south, east, and west. So we're talking, the fence is going to the left-hand side
Plan
and
left.
not to the right-hand side.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I get lost going around the corner.
The only reason I noticed is I looked at Taylor and I said east, right?
West is the water whiz and the parking area. East is that
Oh, that's a good
back
I don't have
road.
Kwame with me when I go to these
West
site
Water Whiz.
visits. You'll never see me again.
Well, that's not true. We got lost.
We did get lost once. We did.
No other
Anything
questions.
else?
Thank you.
Carol?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Autumn?
Thank you for your attention and dedication to this wetland restoration project. It is absolutely appreciated. No questions.
Paula Jean?
Well, I am listening to this, and you guys have a lot of great things you're saying. You've got a wetland ecologist, engineer, another ecologist, and it sounds very sincere that you really care about the land and the wetlands. And I'm trying to put that together with you were here. Time flies. Was it a couple of months ago? You guys were here. And before that hearing, I went over there and spent quite a while. I went in, drove way in the back, all over. I walked around and to see what was there, and I could see where the wetland was. But all I could think about is the massive amounts of trash in there that had been there. Not like it just got thrown, had been, worked its way into the ground, had been there for years. And I thought, this is the stewardship this land gets, and this is how much whoever it is really cares about this property. So it kind of, I have a hard time reconciling all this, yeah, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and with the situation. Now, maybe it's been cleaned up since then, but I know, like, if I owned that land, and regardless of how it got there, I'm sure you guys didn't throw it there, but that, obviously, it said to me, we don't care. We care about being in business. Yeah, you get my drift.
I do.
And I don't know how to say it nicely.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I
do.
feel like, what are you talking about?
Can I take a shot at it?
Part, if you've all been out there and walked around and had discussions, and you know what I'm talking about, and it's like years of accumulation of junk and debris, and what's up with that? How
Can
do
I-
these two things balance out? How,
Let-
where's the stewardship?
Well, let me take a shot at it.
Thank you.
My client purchased the property 1 year ago, a little over a year ago. He's operated the park for one season, David? 2 seasons. During those 2 seasons, we have faced an immense amount of pressure, probably rightfully so, from the selectmen, from the zoning board, from department heads, from the police department, from the fire department, about traffic, backups on Route 28, Route 6, I'm sorry, and ways to alleviate that traffic, get people in and out of there. It has been compounded, the problem, by the construction, of course. And parking has always been an issue out there. And you're right, Ms. O'Neill, the trash has accumulated over years. My client, unfortunately, had good intentions in buying this property. Obviously, he wants to make a profit. He's a businessman. And I don't want to bag anybody here, but he was handed a bag of you-know-what in this whole site. And there have been issues flying all over the place, but we've met with the selectmen and department heads and everybody else. I think Josh was there. And they indicated to us, you need to fix the traffic. You need to fix the traffic. This is a problem. It's not going to be staying for. Get us a site plan in front of us as soon as possible. So he engaged this team of engineers, myself, environmental scientists, et cetera, which have taken a lot of time to figure out what the heck to do with this property to make it work. And we think we've gotten there. Now, I'm not discounting what you were suggesting was out there, and I haven't been out there lately, but if that was April, the site hadn't been operated since September. So I don't know, there's a lot of homeless encampment across the railroad tracks. They're constantly,
I knew that.
they're constantly
but
coming
this was
onto the property.
there.
I understand, but when you have 400 people sleeping across the railroad tracks coming over and going on to Route 6 every night, it tends to build up. Now, I know it's part of my client's staff's responsibility to clean all that area up and try to keep it as clean and as manageable as possible, but I think these improvements, the fence, the new wetland, and the oversight that this board's going to have, plus these professionals and whatever peer reviewer you folks hire out there will help us in doing that. But I could let David speak to it, but I think his intent is to have as clean as possible for this season, and then after that, hopefully we won't have to worry about that because the new plans will be in place, hopefully.
No, I hear what you're saying. You've been getting it from all directions, and it's a lot to deal with. But
Oh, yes, that's a good point. So, Amanda, can you pull up the overall site plan there so I can show you?
Sure, but I'm talking about, I don't want to throw the homeless under the bus.
No.
For abandoned furniture, tires, sinks, I don't think the homeless people.
No, but Amanda, can you pull up like the larger
One
site
sec.
plan, just so I can point something out? Like the top view? And this may help explain, David, that was a good point. Okay.
This one?
So,
I'm just going to say a lot of stuff will go when you clean out that that pond that's dead.
everything over here, and I don't know where you were seeing a lot of the trash.
Everywhere. It was
But I mean, I was out
phenomenal.
there
It
last
was
summer.
phenomenal, yeah.
And there was some trash here, clearly.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of trash like over this way and all over here. My client doesn't own the property.
Well, I knew some of it was because the railroad tracks are there and people go in, and I wasn't sure of the boundaries. But overall,
But I mean, you
It's
can't
massive.
go on other people's property.
no, I know that.
But this area, we've tried. We have to,
You know, a couple of people in a pickup truck one weekend, I think, would take care of it. But it's sort of like, I'm thinking, what are your priorities? If you weren't under the pressure of
directed to us
satisfying.
is traffic
Yeah.
by the town. Every department head, the police, the selectmen,
Yep.
was traffic.
Yes, including getting rid of one of those turnarounds because of the way your people exited, it blocked, anyway, another
That was
point.
another whole other issue.
Another point. Jessica?
We have to do better.
You just made the point that this is not your client's property, right? And that's where the replication will happen.
It's now under agreement.
It's off the plan where the trash is.
But where,
Well,
no, I understand. The replication is happening off the client's property, though,
it's under
right?
agreement.
It's under agreement. So you'll have a way to continue to be sure that you have access and that the maintenance can
We're
happen.
purchasing it. We just came to terms last week.
Okay.
Thank you, I didn't think about that, but, sorry.
if I may, David Garland, the owner. So we'll own that property and we'll be able to clean it up and maintain it.
And
Make sure
control
it's the way it should be. Because we're purchasing literally a wetland, just to be able to
Yeah.
do this.
Well, you know, if you take a walk out there,
Yeah,
or if you
now
haven't,
we
it was phenomenal, yeah.
Right now, we don't own it. I can talk to the owner about
Well,
now that we have a purchase and sales agreement.
You must own some of it.
We don't anything from the parking field to the right. We don't own any of that. That's owned by somebody else. We only own where the parking field is currently on that land. where
And
it's
so
shown.
you don't have use of any of the other for parking?
Jess,
we
can
have-
they hear you?
We have she had a handshake agreement with the owner when I purchased it. So it's kind of one of those where was unwritten until now, and it'll be in writing now, where we'll own it going forward, providing the permitting goes the way we're looking for it to go. If it doesn't, then we're not going to purchase the property if we don't need it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? You're not going to purchase the property if you don't need it?
Right, so if we get denied,
You mean?
we're not going to purchase the property. The purchase of sales is contingent on permits.
Okay.
So it isn't just conservation, who else do you need approval from? Planning, zoning?
That's a little issue of dispute. I won't get into legal. We think it's planning. Others in town think it's zoning.
Okay.
We have to figure that out.
But if you're denied by whichever one it is, this will not happen.
It's, right, but it starts here because we've
Yep.
been, and you can talk to the planner who's been, well, you got to submit the site plan. I said, well, if we don't get this approved at Concom, we're back to square one. We got to
Okay.
start all over. Starts here.
But from our point, from our perspective, you're not buying it unless you get approved. But if part of our approval is making sure that you have the ability to continue to monitor and maintain and access the property, which comes first?
Well, we have that. It's under agreement, and
You don't buy it.
well, but we will. If we receive the approval here and we still have the right to go in there and clean under the current agreement, we go to the next board.
Right.
If we receive approval there, then we purchase the property. If we don't receive approval there, we're back to square one. We're not replicating. We're figuring something else out. We start all over. So it's going to be a totally different look for the project.
Jessica, anything else?
But we end up back here.
Well, yeah. We'll be back here on a totally different application. So we're here we end up.
I just mean, if we approve it, you have a purchase and sale agreement, right? But that may not go through for any number of reasons. So how can we be sure that our approval,
We can include it in our restriction.
Include a condition of
We'll
approval.
put a condition on it that this is done only if the land is owned.
Yeah, you would put a special condition saying something along the lines
Sure.
of your order of conditions is only valid with proof of purchase of lot, map and lot, whatever it is.
but I also wouldn't want to necessarily put you in a position where, as a buyer or seller could say you need this, and then it puts you at a business disadvantage.
We have a written agreement. That just wouldn't happen. It would be breach of contract.
Yeah, but it's real estate, right? So until it's done, it's not done. So, but we could we
I
include?
write a pretty good P&S.
Yeah,
So does Jessica.
me too. So, but I just mean, could we include language that says that there's access, whether that's you own the property or not, that there's some type of authority to maintain, that if you don't own it, that, I don't want to create a burden that
fine.
disadvantages you in any way, but still make sure that you have the legal authority to
I think
to
that
enter
would
the
come
property.
in terms of the commission would require approval from the property owner that gives them access. We can't just say, hey,
Right,
we are.
or proof, they could, after the fact, we've had other situations where someone has been able to provide you proof, whether that's, an easement or a license or something that has documented, ability for you to make sure that you have the ability to access this area and continue to maintain it and
acceptable.
do the reporting and do the,
So ownership and/or other viable use and access.
exactly.
That I think that's a good idea. It actually gives us more options, more to work with.
I think that's reasonable.
I almost said wiggle room. That wouldn't have been good.
Anything else? Donna? No questions. All right. I'm going to ask Josh for your comments before I go to the rest of the public.
Can you not?
No, I guess. I mean,
one reason I say that. I want to figure out where the board is landing on this before
Okay.
I give a recommendation of how you should proceed. Only because I think that this requires some future thought of how it's going to be conditioned.
okay.
I don't think you are ready to issue an order of
No,
conditions tonight.
I want some more study and looking at the options. What Denise has brought up, what we've heard from Jessica, to make sure that our order of conditions handles this property correctly and keeps it sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also like to see the commission give the applicant, like a clear view of kind of what is moving forward, because they're right, they're under pressure from the town in many regards.
Okay.
You know, we are a hurdle for some of the pressure that they're receiving from
Yes.
the town.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience would like to comment on this project? Is there anybody online that would like to comment on this project? Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
Okay. So as far as the site plans go that the commission currently has, they propose a wetland replication area that's different than what you just proposed tonight. So I think the commission needs to see the actual proposed site plans of what, if the commission is comfortable with what they presented tonight, then they can move forward with the site plans of what the actual proposal is. Right, I would say the wetland replication area that you guys have identified on C-101 of the plan set looks a lot different than, currently what you have.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if I may, Josh. We sent you the updated plans last week.
Yeah, I see,
And they're online.
I received the wetland replication plan,
May
that
28th or 9th?
appears not to be dated or stamped. And then we have the wetland replication planting plan that is dated.
May 28th?
It's dated May 17th.
Okay.
So I'm just specifically speaking of the original plan set where you initially proposed a wetland replication area.
It was long and skinny.
Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely different than that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think the 50-foot no activity zone of the new one is going to affect the proposed parking in any way, but I think it's important for the commission to see what that looks like.
Okay. Did that not go in?
Also requires sign.
I thought it got,
Yes.
I thought it got
did.
submitted.
Yeah.
See.
It is.
It came
I
from
thought I saw the plan online that looked like that.
Yeah, so we have that plan uploaded by Matt. He uploaded it on the 29th. Oh no, you sent it to me via email. I uploaded it onto the platform May 29th. If we do have that plan set, maybe I just haven't uploaded it.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll make sure you,
Is there a plan set that identifies, then my concern is, null and void, I suppose.
We'll get it squared away.
Yeah, please, just forward it to me.
yeah, we will.
I'm receiving like 75 emails a day that I have no time to respond to.
I hear you.
Okay. So that was one of my concerns.
Yep.
As far as establishing a bond or a tripartite agreement for the replication area to be done, the commission hasn't done that since I've been here. I don't know that you've ever done that.
I've only been here 15 years. I don't remember one.
Okay. It definitely is something that is doable through the bylaw.
Mm-hmm.
I would just want to make sure that the commission understands how we move forward with that
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to try to make sure that there are funds available that this particular piece of property and restoration continues.
So, may I?
Yeah, please.
So, I haven't been before your commission in a lot of years, and that was on a much different project, but I could tell you in a lot of the towns that I'm in front of Concom's, Attleboro, Seekonk, Swansea, Rehoboth, what they'll do is they'll put a condition of surety to the satisfaction of the board in the order of conditions, and then you come back like a planning board for like a hearing on that surety, what it looks like, how much it is with the peer review, at a later point in time. So the condition is it's in the order of conditions, but it doesn't hold up the whole process, because we won't really need to post a bond here until we get started, right? So, and that's probably not till next season.
Okay.
I'm guessing. Oh, yeah. Just a suggestion.
That makes sense. I've never done it, so I just want to make sure that it's being done correctly.
Makes sense, absolutely.
And does a time frame play into that where's the time frame play into that conversation?
It would be before, before a building permit, you should see, a construction permit.
Yeah, okay.
It would have to be.
So if it's a 2 or 3 year monitoring period, that would...
Yeah, we'd have to, that would all be part of the bond. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I'm not a professional here, but I've done a few developments, and so we've done housing developments with, like Eric said, where you put up a surety of some kind. You have to do a performance. You have to do the performance of whatever the board suggests, whether it's conservation, zoning, planning. And you have to go appear before them to get the release of your funds, and whatever that time frame is. And some housing developments, I mean, have taken, with 2008 and 2012, and then COVID, they've taken as long as 10 years to get through. And I'm sure the board's aware. One of the things I asked Matt was, from a scientific point of view, how long will it take to make sure this wetland is established and will thrive further forward? And he said 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years. It's usually a 3-year review point saying, okay, it's either going to live or die within 2 or 3 years, and then you're going to replace it. After that, it's up to nature.
Okay.
Tends to be, yeah.
Yeah, I do want to point out that from doing the replication area, however that works with your timing and restraints, if we were not to be able to move forward with the rest of the project for 3 years, I don't know how well that would work. So I think as being able to construct this replicated wetland area, get it approved by the commission as far as being constructed according to the plans, and then being allowed to do the parking lot plan if approved through the other boards, to me makes this,
Yeah, we're not
makes
going
it all work
to,
together.
we're not going to ask you to build that until you get your parking.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you're going to be removing a wetland when you do the parking, so we'll probably look to find this to be done first before you get rid of that puddle,
Yeah.
that dead pond.
But you don't plan on holding them up for 3 years to make sure that it's sustainable?
I think this complicates it unnecessarily. If they didn't comply with the order, couldn't we have an enforcement or something like that instead of overcomplicating it?
Okay. Now, are you recommending a continuance to allow us to better organize the order of conditions? Yeah. Is that what I'm hearing, Josh? Do you think by 7/3 we can have a pretty strong order of conditions recommended by you?
Yeah, I think you could definitely close the hearing and work on the order of conditions.
Okay.
And have it ready for the July 3rd.
Well-
We would be able to supply them with the draft order to make sure they feel comfortable with, the conditions that you're planning to impose. And then on July 3rd, you issue your...
Is that within the 21 days? Isn't there a time frame? Once we close the hearing, don't we have so many days for an order of condition?
Correct.
We'll stipulate to extending it.
Yeah, we can
Well, we can continue.
request the extension from the applicant.
We stipulate.
All right. So, Tanya, it says everything is online? Oh, still, okay. So what I'm hearing is that unless more information could be coming, we could close the hearing and then prepare for a order of conditions to be draft first, and an order of conditions to be discussed and approved at the July 3rd meeting. Or should we just continue into July 3rd in case something comes up?
Well, I think, yeah, you could just continue. I think maybe closing the hearing would give them a sense of security that they're comfortable with moving forward with a lot of the other planning they have to do.
Okay,
It would help us too to report back to other departments.
yeah,
like,
we've
hey,
heard everything we're going to hear, and that we're just working on our order of conditions. So if anybody wants to make that motion,
Then how do we go about getting the extension to the 21 days?
that
We've stipulated it.
they've stipulated already. Motion to close the hearing. I have a motion to close the hearing of David Darling, 3031, 3033, 3035, 3039 Cranberry Highway. I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
And I have a second. All in favor? I'm going to roll call. Jessica? Aye. Paula Jean? Autumn? Carol? Aye. Kwame?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Sandy? Aye. 700. The hearing is closed. We will have order of conditions to be discussed on 7/3. Josh will draft them, and you'll be given a draft prior to 7/3. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you so very much, sirs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will bring the sparklers for the 3rd.
Hey, cupcakes.
Okay.
I was
Are you
warned by
requesting a
CFO.
recess? Did you just request a recess? Oh, we should. Can we?
You been there? Did you go there and look out back? I mean, it's like,
What?
all I said was, we don't care. We'll say it.
Um,
I wonder if we
yeah, before we continued, we've been asked to take
I'd
a
like to see
5-minute
very
break.
nice.
Is it possible?
'Cause otherwise,
Can you take us offline for 5 minutes? Okay, so, yes,
Perfect, thank you.
for those.
Good. Thank you. All right, we're taking a 5-minute bathroom break. Very much for allowing us to take that break. The next thing on the agenda is a report of the Conservation Administrator, and he's got several things he wants to talk to us about, which you received documentation. You're up.
Are we skipping the enforcements?
Well, there's nothing new that we haven't already talked about, is there?
Then I can give you an update on
Oh,
them
oh, please,
briefly.
then, please, I'm
They
sorry.
don't require any votes, so.
Okay, then give us an update, including 200 Great Neck. Okay,
Yes, okay. 4 Kennedy Street, they are working with an engineer to come before the commission with a notice of intent. 50 Shangri-La Boulevard, I have confirmation that they received the enforcement order, so they should be coming in front of the commission probably by July 3rd. Pine Lake is the same thing. 2530 Cranberry Highway, they're in the process of grading and replanting the area that the commission originally enforced them to replant. 200 Great Neck, the enforcement has been sent and received, so you should be expecting them to come to your July 3rd meeting. 104 Pinehurst, they are currently Oh, you're here? You're the abutter?
Yeah, I have an easement over 200 to get back to our property.
Yep, and I think we've spoken a couple times now on the phone.
either you'll have to come forward and,
Yeah.
this is not a public hearing, but I will allow you to speak to it as long as you please identify yourself and come to the mic.
My name is Jennifer McNally. I live at 200 Great Neck Road, Wareham.
So it is under our continued enforcements because it already came in front of the commission to ratify the enforcement. So the,
What's the enforcement? That's what I don't understand.
the enforcement is, we believe that there was a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act with the construction of the road and filling of the wetland and destruction of vegetation.
There was.
Right.
Are they gonna have to fix this?
Yes. We agree that that violation has occurred. The commission has ratified the enforcement order by signing the enforcement order. I have mailed the enforcement order to the owners of 200 Great Neck.
Doesn't live there, so I don't know.
So what I do is I send it to the property that pays the taxes, not the actual home. So if he owns it, his taxes get sent somewhere. That's where I send the enforcement order, and I send that by certified mail, and I have a return receipt saying that they signed for it.
And you did get that?
Correct.
Well, what about the recycled asphalt that's been dumped in there?
Right. That is part of the violation
Is
that
that
has
coming
occurred.
out?
It will most likely, I won't speak for the commission, but it will most likely be part of their order of conditions to
Remove it?
remove and reestablish the wetland that was destroyed.
We were traveling, I'm sorry, we got home and this was just a total shock. It was done under the cover of darkness, but there's also a failed Title V in there, and I don't understand.
That's not the purview of this commission.
All right. well,
That's to the Board of Health. That's to the Board of Health.
Well, that's covered with asphalt too.
Okay. That,
So it looks as though that black parking lot in the front yard is gonna be gone and the asphalt and the vegetation replanted?
We haven't had a hearing yet to say
Yeah,
what will happen, but we will do our best to restore.
right.
Okay, and you have a hearing scheduled?
No, we haven't got the paperwork from them. They have to make a notice of intent.
Process,
Yeah.
so please-
There isn't anything we can do until they give us the plan for how they're going to restore.
And their plan is supposed to revegetate, replant,
We are going to tell them what their plan is.
so that your enforcement, and they have to show you the plan to answer to those enforcements.
Correct.
And no one knows when we're gonna hear about this again?
So they received the enforcement order that the commission signed. Let me see. So I told them that they need to be at our next hearing of July 3rd,
They
and
did-
that we need to have a notice of intent that I attach to the enforcement submitted by July 17th.
July 17th. Okay, so it's the Board of Health, I understand they have the as-built records and all of that. They're the ones who are gonna,
That's for your Title V.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
leaking, it's old, it failed, and it's
Yeah,
right
that's-
next to the wetlands.
Right, that's unfortunately not a concern of this commission.
Okay, so I'll go to Board of Health on that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandy, I wish you'd be a little more patient with me.
Oh,
This is
just-
not my field of expertise.
Okay.
No.
104 Pinehurst is working on the notice of intent, and 73 Leonard Street we heard from tonight. So I will remove Leonard Street from continued enforcements as,
It's been resolved. Okay.
correct. Okay, so, the Mass DEP complaint investigation, I believe I forwarded that email to the commission. Mass DEP has received enough complaints to actually step in on this enforcement. This is for the jetty at Pinehurst. They identified 4 different areas that they believe have not been adhered to or are outside of the scope of what was permitted by the commission. Let me pull up that letter just to address those. So they identify 4 different areas where they believe the order of conditions isn't fulfilled or where it's been outside of the scope of work. The discrepancy in the jetty dimensions, they specifically talk about the jetty being below the king tide, which I would agree that it is. I would agree that it's also probably under most of the high tides that come in, where the plan depiction is of a 1 foot above the king tide. So with this being an open order of conditions and the commission recognizing that there's a discrepancy with the plans, it's completely within your power to request the elevation of the jetty to see if it's in compliance with the order of conditions that was issued. And if it's not, you can require that they, meet compliance.
Who
with the
measures
order.
this?
You would have an engineer go out,
And who would pay for that engineer?
the applicant.
So we need an engineer to go out there and actually measure what the jetty was established, created at.
Correct. Right. And I would agree with Mass DEP. I don't believe it's over the king high tide.
Mm-hmm.
The next one was the unpermitted removal of stairs. This came from the
White pickup truck?
Okay, so there was the abandoned, destroyed stairway that was at the end of, I think it's Beach Road. And they're saying that it was never part of the order of conditions for it to be maintained the way that it was. I don't necessarily agree with their stance on it, but if they're looking for a notice of intent for the work that was done, it would be within the road layout owned by the town, and the town would move forward with a notice of intent for an after-the-fact notice of intent for the fixing of that.
Removing of the deleted
Yeah.
bad stairs.
Removing of the stairs.
Unsafe stairs and putting in riprap.
Right.
Okay.
So, the unpermitted beach alteration, this goes back to the work of the bobcat that was on the beach and the moving of sand. I believe that has been addressed with the amended order of conditions. And they also talk about that there was potentially work within the salt marsh. I don't believe that's accurate, but I think it's worth investigating. And then the final thing was stormwater blockage. Mass DEP believes that the movement of the stand with the bobcat was had a direct impact on the stormwater outfall that was further down the beach.
That was broken so long ago.
I agree. I think it was broken well before this project, as I remember going out there the first summer I started working here. But it's addressed in their complaint, and what we're looking to do is submit a response letter to Mass DEP.
Okay.
So we have until the 14th to respond, and I will draft that letter.
Then
Actually, I think it's the 12th. We have until the 12th to respond. I will draft that letter and give it to the commission to review.
and we will review it independently, respond only to Josh, do not make it a conversation between everybody here. And Denise, you had your hand up.
I have a question, two different things. One, did the town ever remove the signage stating that there was no lifeguard on duty, et cetera, from that paper road? Did we contact them to do that removal?
No. And I don't know if they have or not.
And then
Still there, thank you.
there, and did the club put up the sign that we suggested? I don't know if we suggested or required it, that it was a private beach and that there was no water access from that point?
I don't think it was a requirement of your order of conditions.
We had talked.
But
Do you want to come forward or something? Can they?
This is not subject to public discussion.
We had asked that some type of signage be put up, that there was no public access because it was a private beach, and that the town remove the signs stating that there
Yes,
weren't
but
lifeguards.
you can only ask municipal maintenance to remove it. We put it,
We had asked them.
I thought we had.
We asked Josh to do that, but we
Right.
haven't done it.
that's correct, I haven't done it.
Okay. All right? So Joshua will be drafting something in response to this. We'll get it and respond directly to Josh only. It is not up to debate between our emails. That will violate open meeting law.
Correct.
Is that by June 12th, Josh?
Yeah. Yep. I think they gave us like 2 weeks from when the letter was initially received to us.
Okay.
So, I will draft that and send it to the commission.
Okay, next.
Unless anyone else has any other questions on this matter.
Next, please.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the Weweantic River Conservation Project. So I was approached by the Buzzards Bay Coalition. Let me share my screen. I was approached by the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and their desire, they originally started having talks with a cranberry operations business about some land in Rochester that they were looking to buy from the cranberry owner. And in those discussions, the owner of those bogs said, hey, we have land in Carver and Wareham that we're also interested in selling if it's, something you're interested in. So the BBC, the Buzzards Bay Coalition, reached out to me and said, hey, we are looking to purchase a very large amount of land. I think it's like 2,600 acres maybe. It's either 1,600 or 2,600 acres.
You said 1,600 in your email.
Thank you. I got a lot of numbers going on. So it's 1,600 acres between the three towns of Wareham, Carver, and Rochester. And the majority of the land that they're purchasing within Wareham is along the Weweantic River. Their goal would be to purchase this land, restore most of the bogs to a wetland, and potentially keep a few of the furthest bogs from the Weweantic River as test sites for cranberry operations. What they're looking for from the commission is an acceptance to hold a conservation restriction on this property. If they have a commitment from the commission, it opens them up to applying for state and federal grants that they may not be able to apply for without it. I made it known to their representative that the staffing of the commission and of the department wouldn't allow us to really traditionally hold a CR unless they were willing to do the annual reports and submit them to the commission for confirmation that we're in satisfaction of the annual report. And they had no problem doing it. They do all their own reports yearly anyway.
So they're looking for us to say, yes, we'll hold a CR, but you'll do all the work. BBC would do all the work.
Correct.
All the monitoring and reporting of such.
And they did draft a letter that they were looking for. I believe it was just my signature on the bottom, but I really think it's something the commission should take a vote on. And
Now, do you see the pitch map? Go down a little further to see Wareham. To give you a hint, can you point out where the Westfield soccer and base softball fields are, so you have some hint as to where this property is? So there is Westfield soccer and baseball, but everything else is to the northwest, to the right, to the left of it.
Yep.
That's all that right there is the land in Wareham that will be under this conservation restriction and part of Buzzards Bay's purchase of the land.
right.
It is an agriculture, so there can't be a whole lot of taxes on it anyways, because someone in finance is going to say, what is the town losing for real estate taxes?
Oh,
So so that's just one question, but if it's already agriculture, there's not a lot of tax.
I have another question.
Yeah.
What does it mean to hold a conservation
you...
know what that means.
It means you really own what happens to the property. Nothing can be done to this property based on the restrictions that are in it until we approve it. You can't build on it, you can't clear it, you can't, there is a whole limit of what is allowed and not allowed on a conservation restriction, and as a holder, they can't do anything without our approval.
Thank you.
We become the steward of the property. They are the owner, we watch over them.
And it's a
There's
mutual
no-
agreement between us and them that anything that would happen on the site would fall in line with the guidance of the conservation restriction.
And there's
So-
no, like, money or...
No. A lot of work, because every year you must walk the boundaries to make sure there's been nobody creeping in or doing things wrong. So there's a lot of manual work needed to be the steward, do the report,
And they've agreed to do that.
and they've agreed to do that.
And there are private entities that do hold conservation restrictions for property owners. Like the Wareham Land Trust could own a conservation or hold a conservation restriction for you as a private citizen. I don't really know how that ends up monetarily, if they ask for some type of fee to be paid every year. But what the state says is that the Conservation Commission is uniquely equipped to hold conservation restrictions, and that that you guys are the only board in the town that should hold conservation restrictions.
Thank you.
All right? I'm going to ask for discussion. So Donna, any problem?
This is something the Buzzards Bay Coalition does all over the watershed, and they do it very well.
Yes. Jessica, any questions?
Questions?
Paula Jean?
No, I think it's a great idea.
1,600 acres, yeah. Autumn?
No questions, I support this.
Carol?
No questions, I support it.
Kwame?
No questions, thank you.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Denise?
No more questions, thank you.
Okay, part of our statement when we opened the meeting, we said that all matters listed may involve a decision and possible vote. So I will take a motion that we would be willing to hold a conservation restriction on this property being presented as the Wee Wee Antic Cranberry Bog acquisition for restoration.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 700. So please proceed with letting them know that we've approved holding this conservation restriction for this property.
Got it.
Is there anything you want to add as administrator before we go on to minutes?
No.
Okay. We had a set of minutes from May 15th. Anybody have any additions or comments to them? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of May 15th.
Approve or accept?
Second.
We're back to having to approve.
Did you accept?
I just
Motion to
asked a
approve?
question.
So, Autumn,
Second.
you had a chance to review the tape for the May 15th meeting?
I have not reviewed the
And I
tape.
ask you to abstain?
I will abstain.
Okay, all in favor of approving these minutes?
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 601. And we have an application that has been submitted to us for consideration for membership as an associate member to Conservation. Oh, Scott, can you come up, please? I know you've been here many, many days, many meetings, sit through the whole thing. Introduce yourself and say why you would be good for us.
My name is Scott Sovey. I live at 18 Commonwealth Avenue in Onset. So when I moved from Arizona to Massachusetts, or was in the process of moving, I was very conscious of the desire to become more a part of the community than I had been previously, because I was working before, now I'm retired. I want to be part of the broader community and of its development, its conservation, its preservation, and where it's appropriate, and the decision-making process. I come with a background in science, I'm a retired microbiology professor. I was professor of microbiology at a medical school, dental school, and veterinary college. My research was on wetlands microbiology, mostly based on the cranberry bogs, the wild cranberry bogs and the cultivated cranberry bogs in southeastern Massachusetts. I've worked very closely with the National Park Service through the Cape Cod National Seashore, the UMass Cranberry Station, and I still work with them at times. I'm still active in writing, editing, and reviewing scientific papers. But I do want to be involved in this community at this level as well.
Thank you. Questions? Jessica?
No questions, but welcome.
Paula Jean?
Welcome, that sounds great. Now I know who you are. See you all the time.
Autumn?
No questions, but I do want to say that we're pleased to see you before us. You definitely bring a skill set that this commission would benefit from.
Science.
Yes.
Carol?
Ditto.
Kwame?
No questions, but do you bake? No?
Do you bake? Are you trying to replace me?
No, I'm not. Way to go.
And it has nothing to do with the best carrot cake I've ever had in this very room.
Thank you.
Michael?
No questions, thanks.
No questions, but welcome aboard. I hope you find Massachusetts a little different than Arizona, I'm sure.
A little different.
I'm sure. Thank you.
Denise?
Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you and your skill set.
I have forwarded to Scott links to the open meeting law and the ethics training. And I told him that had to be done because that would be the first question from the select board. The position wouldn't be available until the 1st of July. Thank you, Donna, for staying with us for a year. I appreciate your time and support for us. This is your last meeting. Thank you. So I will take a motion for a recommendation to the select board to appoint Scott as an associate member to conservation.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will send a note off to the select board that our recommendation for your appointment.
But don't mention that I only voted yes because he likes my carrot cake.
Okay. Is there anything else that we want to cover tonight? Josh, anything
All
else?
right, no. Nope.
Okay.
I motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
At, 8:57. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, thank you. Josh, can I sign my paperwork tomorrow morning? I got to make some phone calls.
Yes, no problem.